Okay, I'm calling this meeting to order. Nantucket Historic District Commission. It is 1:03 on Thursday, March 23rd. Present John McLaughlin, Stephen Welch, Diane Coombs, Val Oliver, welcome back.
Thank you.
Matthew Cooner, also welcome back.
Thank you.
Abby Camp, Christine Glazer, and myself, Ray Pohl. For those of you in the audience, do either one of you plan to record the meeting, your meeting? No? Okay, fine. Great. Now, I would like to make one small change, if I could have somebody approve our agenda with the following change, that number 15 under old business get moved to the end, so that it would become 20.
So move.
Thank you, Diane.
You become what?
20, it's just going to the end of the
15 on
agenda.
20, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just because I guess they can't get here. Okay, all those in favor of Diane's motion to approve the agenda? Aye. Great. Public comment, anyone? No. Okay, moving right along to new business. It's the Val Oliver Show.
Oh, thank you for moving everything.
Sure.
I heard it.
Sorry.
Oh, it was really good.
Oh, sure.
If I say so myself.
Sharing is fun.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. That's cute.
John, how are you?
Busted up. He slipped and hurt his ankle.
I heard. Are you okay?
Is this like a new?
This is a new dwelling in the Huntington home in Sakenau. It's a cape with some dormers on the front, a garage attached, which I think is pretty in keeping with that neighborhood. Natural to weather trim, green sash and doors.
Natural weather trim, green sash and doors.
Doors.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
Black roof.
I should just note for the record that this would be the regular board. This is new business.
Yeah.
Okay?
25-foot 8 height.
25
It doesn't do a broken back.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said, and you got them to do a broken back on the restoration. Doesn't look like the Huntington at all.
I think they added this.
Yeah, they
porch
put the
on.
porch on after.
Does everyone have time to look
Yeah.
at it?
Yeah, I'll
John,
go.
would, let me, you want to start?
It's right the way it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's what I was
Diane,
gonna say.
I think that's it. Okay. Can I have a
Thumbs
motion?
up.
Great. All those in favor of Christine's motion to approve?
Aye.
Thank you.
We're off to a roaring start. I know. Whoa. Jeez, what's up with that? You know. Whatever it takes.
These are also, the next two are Huntington's as well.
Hopefully they'll, everything.
Different area, different context.
The Huntingtons always break down when you go to full 2 stories because of that floor solution. Val, please, if you want to describe anything, just
Well, it's a basic 2-story structure, like a lot of the neighborhood, which I gave you photos of. It's 28-foot 10 in height. Again, natural to weather trim, terratone sash, black roof. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
go.
Yep.
Just ask you a quick question.
Yep.
Aren't there these little buildings there right now?
There is in the lot before this. Yeah. Those were his grand.
Can you use this?
Just
This was Nate's,
Yes, this
and
is,
he had all that stuff right there.
well, he's sold all the property eventually, like the ice house is over there and some other duplexes and triplexes. But the original houses, which were 30 acres, remember they had an ice cream shop
Yes.
that was in front of that? Not 30 acres, 70 acres.
70 acres, that's what it used to be called.
Yeah.
No, I mean, see, here's my comment.
Was this on a view?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we went to some.
So is it going to be, the short end facing?
So, this, are we on lot A or lot B?
I'm going lot A.
Okay, I have the wrong one in front of me.
Lot A.
Okay, so,
The gable
the
faces.
gable end faces the road, which is north, or labeled as north.
Northwest.
Yeah. This is the smaller of the two structures that are side by
Has
side.
a larger footprint.
No, doesn't.
Ah. We're reviewing this now, and we're about to review this, correct?
Oh, I'm looking at the other one, sorry.
Lot A, lot A.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the larger.
Yes, you're right. I was not looking at the wrong one. 2810. They both are gable facing the road.
What are the colors?
Natural and terratone and black roof.
Like, treetop or?
Black. Freetown.
Who would like to go first on this?
I will.
Okay, Abby.
I think it's appropriate. It's a little tall, but I think it's appropriate.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
All right. Diane, you ready?
Yeah, I don't think you'll see the east elevation because of the new house. Next new house going right up against it, so you won't be looking at that. I do think it's a tiny bit tall for that particular beginning of my common avenue, but other than that, I have no problem with it.
Yeah. Christine?
I feel the same. I feel the same way. The only thing I would want to add is it possible to make the A's slightly bigger? Or no? I'm just looking, I'm not looking at.
They do look a little small. I think that's because of the scale of the box.
On the plan, because I can't read it in the small, what does it say the A size is on there? Right where your hand
Oh,
is.
yeah. The A is 210.5 by 490. That's the rough one. 210.5.
So what, longer or wider?
Both.
Bigger.
Both. I think proportionally, it has to get wider and taller.
Yeah,
Would benefit the structure.
okay,
Is it like 2-inch increment? How does that go?
These are Andersons, right?
The
right,
B's are
2 in width, I
2.6
think.
by
3 or 4 in
3.5.
height.
yeah.
So it'd be like 3 feet
3.0 by
by
5
Five.
or something.
So the actual size of the window is 2.8 by 4.6.
Right,
So it would become like 210 by
5,
5 feet.
so the next size up.
The next size up would be great, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
I think it'd work.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
bottom of the sill.
So,
okay.
John, I'm sorry, was that?
No.
You good?
I'm
Okay.
good.
John? Okay. And the only thing that I am wondering about. Seeing as the north elevation, also known as the front, has that sort of small door, could we enhance that trim at all, just to make it,
Yeah,
kind of give it the semblance of the front door, quote unquote?
yeah, sure. Just some extra trim, beef it up a little.
Exactly.
I
Yep,
take it those Bs are bathrooms or kitchens or something that you want
Right.
smaller. Okay.
yeah. Okay,
Great,
So
so,
I'd make a motion then to approve this with the A windows moving up to the next size.
okay. Through staff, and more trim around the door.
Oh, and all that beefed up trim around the
Yeah.
front door.
No, we don't.
So you know where the front doors are.
oh,
Yeah.
right.
I agree.
On the east elevation.
The door?
The doors, yeah.
Oh, I was actually suggesting the north one, because that's the one that's visible from the road.
You're absolutely correct. So
These
that-
are in the recess, so you're not even going to see
Yes,
them.
Right.
You're right. It's the north elevation. It's a single door on the north elevation. Beefed up front.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. All those in favor of Christine's motion to approve with those modifications? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next.
They smell great. Is it the top?
Yeah, always great.
Oh. I didn't know.
Actually, it's not great. It's purple. It's purple
It
flavor.
smells like. It's one
So now this is the smaller of the two.
Right.
Same context.
Yeah. And again, the north is the front.
So, but the east, you're gonna see it when you come around my Common Ave.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. But there is a house in front of that.
There is.
And there's two houses there.
Does that basement access have to be on the east?
Well, I don't know where else it could go.
Well, we just have the basement access on the front of the previous one.
But if you, I know, but if you're coming around the corner here, I was just thinking that it was bigger. I don't know.
I think, is it shown on there, the houses that stand in
Right
front of
next,
that?
right to the east of it, yeah.
Yes, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I personally would rather see it on the side than the front, but that's up to you guys.
Is his original house remaining, is that the,
The grandparents, the Nate's parents' house, yes.
Yeah.
That's what those two are.
yeah, that's what
One
I
was
thought.
this ice cream shop and one is where they lived. Back in the old days. Sorry? Yeah.
Is the, you were saying something about the visibility of the east side.
Yeah.
Specifically the walk down.
I think it may be somewhat obscured by the building next to it. And so I'm curious. Oh, well,
I don't think you'll see the
no.
first floor of the east elevation because of the houses in front.
Yeah, and if you look at that lot, it's jogged because of the jog in the house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which means that little projection there is kind of.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Which is why I think that's where it is.
I think the windows are different in this house in the sense that I felt like that one elevation was all A's, and here you kind of mixed it up with A's, B's, and C's. Am I correct?
I don't know, again, I can't see the sizes of the windows.
Can I just see the last plan?
I think you're right that that one had all A's except for the smaller kitchen windows, which were B's. And in this one, the B's are a different size, but I can't tell you what size they are by looking.
They are 2.8.5 by 4.5.
And what are the A's,
The
Diane?
A's are 2.8.5 by 4.9.
Okay.
5 or 6 inches.
Yeah. Not sure why.
Do you want them to be like the other one and have like one standard?
I don't know. I just wanted to have a look.
I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just standardize the window a bit.
yeah, A, so maybe it's not, maybe just have an A and a B, at least on the east, that east elevation, make those more uniform. Maybe just have 2 different types of windows.
I mean, the other house is slightly taller,
Mm-hmm.
but you do have a predominance of A's. The only 2 places you have B's are on the north and south respectively, above the walk-down and in the kitchen.
In the west.
No, in the first one.
Oh, in the first one.
Yeah, that was just approved.
So how about if instead of having having the B's, we make the B's all A's, so the larger windows are all one size, and then just leave the 2 smaller windows, which are bathroom windows. Unless that's gonna bug you.
That's 2.2 by 3.9,
Right.
the bathroom windows.
Those can't be around the corner, I guess.
Well, if they, I thought about that, Abby, but if they were, then you'd have this kind of void there.
You know
No,
what,
I
in
mean, you would-
actuality, they're not in front of a fixture, so I think if we made the bulk of the windows A, and those would jump up to maybe the B size, and it would eliminate the much smaller size, so there'd just be 2 B's and the rest A's.
Yeah,
Okay.
Great
or-
idea.
or the first floor could be A, and then the second floor could be B.
Those could, that could work too.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you're
So-
good.
And they're all the same size across.
So
the
then
second
these 2 C's can become B's?
and
Yeah,
that's it,
Terrific.
right?
yes.
Okay.
Now we know our ABCs.
That's fine. So then it's more cohesive, right?
Well, I was going to use this
And more turn around the front door.
Yes.
elevation.
Is the
Although these were going to be quite,
back door or south, is that an entry?
that was terrible.
That's
Is that somebody's front door or?
That's the back door. Yeah, well, depends how they decide to enter the house. Technically, yeah.
Yes, John.
The tax application compared to this with double doors, that's, I've never seen a residential structure with double doors touching as front doors, I just making a comment,
No,
I've
they
never seen
weren't
it.
touching.
Yeah.
Well,
The
not
resident-
touching, but
Yeah.
next to each other.
Yeah.
So,
There's
so
not a
you know it's
problem,
it's a duplex.
Yeah,
It's
right.
actually 2 units in there.
I've never seen 2 together,
Yeah.
It didn't matter because due to its remote location.
Yeah. Well, again, I wouldn't mind, just for the sake of consistency, having that north elevation so that appears beefed up so that
I agree.
it appears
Yeah.
to be the front.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
these other doors, which are really the front doors, will read as kind of side doors.
Yep.
Has everyone spoken their piece on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sounds like we have a couple of modifications that have been approved through staff. Can I have some kind of
Motion to approve with the north elevation single door trim getting beefed up and the C windows on the east elevation becoming B as in boy windows.
Gotcha.
The C windows on the east elevation to become B as in boy windows. That's my motion.
Yeah, great. All those in favor of Christine's motion?
All right.
So now I go away and
You go away for a
Matt
short
comes up
while.
and then I come back.
Thank you so much. You're so helpful.
Hi, how are you? I'm not bringing my personal picture here, so you have to
Just say your name for the record. Terry here's that.
I'm Matt Rainamo, appearing for Carson, who couldn't be here today.
Are you related?
It gives it a flourish.
It's the Huntington Home Hour.
Yeah. So, first off, okay, there is an existing house on this property. Might you have any photographs of that existing house? They're perfect.
And windows.
Have we found the house
Same, the
yet?
same windows.
That's it? House of the Weddings.
You know, is that the house 11 Tacoma? You see them?
Yes. Yes, I think that's, yeah, the site is
Well, what's on the card? Tacoma and whatever that's called now.
Let me give it to you in one second.
It's that, that's the new. Yeah,
So it's, how does that was moved onto the
I
site?
just want to understand
and now
the
what, they
placement.
want to rearrange it or they
They wanted this out garage on here.
Did you
Where
see the site plan there?
specifically?
I think that's it.
Away from the road, so back here. Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
garage?
Photos.
This is the
These are the photos that were presented to the office. And this shows the context, the neighbors, and then there's one photo in here, the actual house.
main house.
In here. That's the house.
That's the main house?
Yeah.
Is this garage taller than the main
It
house?
looks like it, doesn't it?
Yes, I believe,
2410 and.
proposed it is. The garage is, a garage with an apartment above it. The main house on the property is, of first,
Single
one story, yeah.
Do we know how tall it is?
I do not have an exact height on the first.
It's a house
The
that
first
got moved
dwelling.
there, I think.
That house is, yeah, the house has been there for a long time. It's, I think it's actually probably the oldest house on Catch-a-Lot, or at least the second oldest.
It's just that we
And
have a policy of 22 as a secondary building. And if your house, existing house is 22 or so, then the garage has to follow a height.
Actually,
But
can I-
anyway, it
Yeah.
could be the primary, would it become the primary?
Well,
No, it's a
we're in this-
garage.
He can actually do this a couple of different ways. The garage, at least, and I don't think you'll find this written down anywhere, but there's sort of been this policy that developed over the last 10 years. Second dwelling tries to get limited to 22 feet in height, unless it has a garage attached to it, in which case the mass, exactly, the mass that contains the garage could be 24 feet high, because you need to have a lot more,
No matter what the main building is.
no matter what the name.
Okay,
I guarantee you this first house is less than 22 feet.
yeah, it looks.
Yeah.
Story.
No, it looks
Yeah, it's like 18 or.
And how tall is the
This is
garage?
2410, almost 25 feet.
10, it has to come down. Was
Yeah.
starting. On the west elevation, rear, the dormer is either too big or not fenestrated enough. There's too much space in between the windows and the cheeks and the rest of it. on the north elevation, the windows on the second floor, the B windows on the second floor should be separated a little bit so that they fill, I feel, the space up there, separate them by a foot or whatever, and the same thing on the south elevation, which is the elevation that's facing into Cachalot.
That would probably be the
That's-
north
I would say it would be
elevation,
the
yeah.
North elevation.
And it's northwest, but it's really the north elevation as labeled. The garage doors are facing the street.
Right. The dormer on the east elevation is in better proportion, I think, than the complementary one on the west elevation. So,
I think that's not.
and where is there, this is going to be the front,
Yeah, but the house is here,
Right.
closer to the road, and this is kind of behind.
right, tucked in there.
They'll just
So-
need to get another driveway cut.
Cut, and are you going to be able to see the rear from Seekanau?
You might.
It's not very, yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty. I'm not sure. It is kind of there's vegetation there now. How much of that would be lost in sort of the construction? I'm not sure. It isn't.
it's not very solid, however, vegetation that's there between Seekanau and Cachalot. So I think we have to think of, which would be, right, the west elevation,
South.
south elevation.
They have these,
Well,
don't
actually,
pay attention to rear,
south and west.
because that's front. This is the back,
Yeah.
facing out.
So, say the window's split, and I don't know whether you can put another window in on the first floor, and that's the basic shape of the garage, or whether it would make a difference in the garage to put a window there, so that when you're looking at it from Seekanau, which I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to see it, it is,
I think the way the lots are kind of laid out on Seekanau is it's you're looking to see this structure, if you could, would be kind of through a large corner lot off the cul-de-sac. It wouldn't kind of be a direct one. So I think, I couldn't say that it's
that's what
totally
garage
hidden,
is.
but I don't think it would be very visible
But
at
this
all.
has more vegetation. This
This
is an
window-
old map.
yeah.
that's winter.
Well, this used to be on my route, so I saw it pretty well, a lot. So that's all, I just wanted to make sure that we were aware that you could see it from Seekanau.
Yeah, I think looking between the garage and the main house and that corner lot, you could probably see it. John, you ready?
I find, with the comments you made, I find approvable.
Okay, thank you. Christine?
I think that it's I feel that it will be a fine design for the neighborhood and it's contextually appropriate. However, I'd like to see two things happen. I'd like to see a small reduction in height if possible, and I'd like to see the shed dormers on either side become smaller. I think they're too large for the structure.
Okay, thanks. Abby?
I go along with those comments. The
Um,
height and the shed.
So I don't really have anything to add. I'll just to reiterate, if you could get sounds like even Diane had an issue in particular with the layout of that west dormer, with its lack of windows and its size. The size of the dormer seems to be an issue. And I think that if we could get the height down either by altering the roof pitch a little bit, you know what?
12.
You're at a 12 and 12 now. If you switch that to an 11 and 12, that would solve all your problems with respect to the height of this building. And you wouldn't even notice the difference. It would just get it down enough for us to be comfortable with. So, shall we hold for some minor revisions? Okay. So Christina's made a motion to hold for some minor revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now we're back to the Val Oliver.
That's only two.
Yeah, for now. And then you come up again.
And
Yeah.
two more.
When did you start, like, prolific work?
No, some of these have been held because we didn't have
Oh,
a quorum.
You're the Picasso of that.
And you were nice to put them to the end.
Yes,
of
you
the-
are.
I'm like a bad
5
luck
a day.
thing right now. Don't sit too close to me. Something might happen to you.
Don't think that way.
Chimney cap.
This is a chimney type, chimney cap
Okay.
that's in the chimney.
And you want to replace
Like
it
an
with this
existing thing?
corbelled one?
Okay.
So you mean it got put there?
It's there, and then we want to see if it's approvable, given it's where it is and how far it is off the road. And
Gads. So these first two pictures showing that little bubble off
yes,
in the distance, that's our gable.
that's it. And then there's a closer up picture. You should have one. Yeah.
Right, but that's taken on the property,
Yeah. Yep.
undoubtedly.
And we haven't, gone for any sort of inspection yet, so this isn't an as-built yet.
What are those little doohickeys on the top? Is this like a restaurant or something?
No, it's a house.
But I mean, the little fans on the top.
That's what she's here
Or
for.
somebody,
That's what she.
Oh, no, it's a metal cap.
It's a, a flue for a,
Gas.
either a gas or a
gas.
Gas, fireplace.
Oh,
Those are
okay,
metal
I've never seen
termination
one.
caps?
Yeah.
At the
Yeah,
front.
whatever
Just-
you
just-
call them.
yeah.
And if you were
There's
to
spark
change
arresters.
that, are you looking for this corbelled top? Is that what?
No, that's
you
all
just-
approved.
Kind of
It's
wants
just
it
the
just the
metal.
way it is shown in that photograph in the upper right-hand
That's what
corner
was
there.
approved.
is that a brick chimney
But
up
that's the way
there,
it
or is it a?
They put in with
It's
material?
brick, and then all I'm applying for
Is
is
the
the
top, yeah.
gas.
It's a spark
No, I just
Metal
wondered, the
things.
picture was sort of vague as whether it was made out of brick or
Oh.
material.
No,
Yeah, there's
it's
a lot
brick.
of trees and brush around there.
I think it would, you'd be past it
The
before
only
you
thing
knew
that-
what you were looking
So Diane, it doesn't sound like you have an issue with it.
No, I think, I don't like to see them up, but I think in this particular location, which is a hard one to see anyway, that you would basically be by it before you realize what you were looking at. I don't like the metal caps and such, but
Right. Don't imagine we can paint these things, can we? John,
Yeah,
Tell
number
us.
one comment.
go.
All photos are taken to the advantage of the owner, not the HDC.
Well, I've noticed that with foul stuff.
This
Yeah,
can be seen from
pretty
the other
cagey
side.
that way.
Further, I have another question.
Do you want to view it?
no,
Okay.
God,
Okay.
no.
No, I already did.
Okay.
Issue, putting without a permit.
Yes. No, it's a house under construction. They put this in. They want me to see if I can get it approved, or they'll have to take it off.
Very terrible fine.
Okay.
So
my
did
question
you,
is
did you see it, John? Did you see it?
Yes, my question is what is the fine for it? You know, the piece of
It's
food
not a
stuff?
fine if we take it off. If you tell us we can't have it, they'll take it off. Or,
The house is still under construction.
right, and we haven't
steel.
had an inspection. Yeah,
Stainless steel.
yeah.
I've had my say, thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm very curious to know whether you can paint that metal. Does anybody know?
Is it stainless steel?
It's stainless.
Why don't I ask and come back with one?
What would you
We've done
paint it?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's far enough away from the heat source that it wouldn't be like boiling hot up
It
there.
would just need to be heat sensitive paint.
Yeah, like stove paint or something.
Or you take them up and get them parkerized or something. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't do any color.
But it would certainly take away from the sort of shiny.
Metallic.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say,
Yeah.
tongue tied today, but I actually would like a view,
Okay.
Okay.
because maybe it is no big deal. And, but maybe it really is more visible than we think.
So
I'd like
let's
the
do that.
opportunity to look
And
at
in the
In the
meantime,
meantime, I'll find out about painting it or something.
because this is going to come up repeatedly, and it has.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, just to brush it down so it's no less.
Are they opposed to just corbelling it anyway, like it's shown in the drawing, in the approved drawing?
I think the chimney is corbelled. This is sitting above that.
It looks like just a flat piece on top.
So, yeah.
To view.
Okay. Good.
And some further information on our options.
Poachik what?
All those in favor of Christine's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Val,
Val.
is this the
Another one?
Carl's house, Cole's house, however they pronounce it?
Poachik, yeah.
It was, oh, what was their
It's
name?
under LLC, so I
It
don't.
is, but, it was an older couple and they just moved off island.
I must be that Boulevard.
In the house that was here, we moved next door to the
Santa
neighbors.
Monica.
Forgive me, I can't remember their name.
That's right, I just. Makes it easier.
This is, I'm simply asking on this for a change of material.
Okay.
This was approved with a little deck coming down to another deck, coming down to a patio. We'd like to make the interim deck patio. So it's like a step down to a patio, which steps down to a patio.
I don't really get it.
And you were going to step down onto a deck?
Onto wood, yeah,
Yeah, I
originally.
prefer this material, actually.
So, wait a second now, Val, just for those of us that did not catch on as quickly. This deck?
Nope, so
Steps down
that's what
to-
was there, and we got this approved, this exact picture that you see, that this
Okay.
guy had drawn, next page. And it was gonna be,
So it went
a piece of deck would remain, it would step down to an interim deck, which didn't require a railing, because it's not over a certain height. And then they'd step down to the patio that's there, which is brick. They'd just like to eliminate the wood in the middle interim area and make it patio.
So,
Right there, and a shaft.
Oh, yeah.
yes. Hold everything.
So there are 8 sub-comments from March 17th. The advisory board did not feel that the proposed change was appropriate, but it's not visible, they say.
Thank you, Matthew.
Which was why it was approved in the first place, I think.
So, given that it's not visible, could you just answer, so the patio, I understand, but the patio will require a wall to support it, will it not?
It's got a little retaining wall.
It already has retaining back there.
So
In the
you're not making any retaining that doesn't already exist?
Correct.
Oh,
She's
Okay.
just changing the
I'm
material.
changing the material.
got it, okay,
From wood
wood
to
to stone.
stone.
okay.
I'm fine with
Any more discussion? Anybody else? Good. Okay, all those in favor of John's motion to approve as submitted? Aye. Thank you.
You get off it.
Okay. We're on to old business, 36 Wigwam. Now, hopefully we get it right this time. Okay. Now that we're on to old business, we will need to know who our various boards are.
Coombs, Oliver, Cooner, and Welch.
Coombs, Oliver, Coomer, and Welch. Okay, so you got everybody you need.
Welcome back. Thank you.
Originally was as a new dwelling, a garage studio and a pool cabana out there at Wigwam.
So the first thing we're looking at is the garage.
This thing should be main house.
No, this is the cover page circled the garage.
I'm just showing, showing the location of the garage, but we're looking at the main house.
Diane is chairing this, but you guys may want to just give your names for the record.
Okay.
Yes, would you?
That has to stay.
My name is Juraj Benkat.
Hold on.
I'm just not listening now.
You want me to move it?
Okay, Terry, he's going to spell his name for you.
Juraj Benkat. B-E-N-C-A-T, yeah.
All right. So we're looking at the main house at the moment,
Main
right?
house, yeah.
Okay.
So, after your comments, what I changed, the main thing was the decks were too big, so we reduced the size of the deck, second floor deck, of course, and did some changes to the fenestration. The front north elevation, changed the windows, spread them apart, and then change some windows also on the south side where the deck is. Minor changes. Change the trim on the main door, also pull the windows a little further apart also. And the last thing was the chimney size is reduced. Put the simple cap on top.
We have east elevation. And you brought the deck in on your east elevation to 8 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you removed, oh, I remember this, you removed these slats right there. Right. All right, let us start with, Matt, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. So did you make any changes to the submerged, to the below grade area that's,
You pretty much just screen or put the picket fence on the north side, so it's actually not really visible.
Okay.
And I checked the size of it, which is not actually on the full wall. It's only part, it's like 10 feet smaller than the wall. So the height, I think the height should work out with the total height of the building and
yeah, I'm still uncomfortable with such a large below grade terrace, for lack of a better word, on the street side portion of the elevation of the house. So I'd be more comfortable with a below grade area like that off of the back that wasn't facing the road. But as proposed, I think that is inappropriate. I'd also like to refer to my fellow board members about the amount of decking. I can't quite remember what the formula is, so I would ask them to.
The decking on which elevation?
Yeah, we need John.
Which,
Mostly it's on the second floor, so the proposed decking that wraps around, I guess it's the west and the south sides, just to make sure that the amount of proposed decking conforms with what is allowable.
30% good call. Of the lineal wall.
all right.
so 30% linear wall in feet is
Yes.
is what? So it's like, let's say it's 190 linear feet of wall, right? And then we get 30%, we get
63 feet.
63 feet of.
So you have 62
So what-
this
what do we
way
need?
and another 27 that way.
So,
So we,
So it's 27 feet.
Exceeds Yeah,
It needs some, well, we'll discuss it
Even-
at the end, but it
Even then,
does.
the deck is actually only 8 feet from the building.
It's only 8 feet from the building.
Yeah.
that's fine, but it's
But it's
the
too
length
much.
and that it turns the corner. John would have been on this.
John, what's the deck formula again?
Are you, let,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's all right. Are you finished?
Yes, those are my two main concerns, the
Okay.
subgrade terrace and the amount of decking that's proposed.
Okay. Val?
I appreciate the changes you made with the fenestration, the reduction in the chimney, and that you brought the deck in 8 feet on the second floor. But I also share the same concerns Matthew has already addressed with the subterranean area and the overall amount of deck. If you could reduce that second floor deck a little bit and maybe bring this area in, or come up with another solution to sort of hide it other than a fence.
There is a actually proposed garage on that side of the property, which actually creates or blocks the view from the road
But it doesn't
Plus.
really.
fence. I mean, from the road it does.
If you moved the garage more forward, it would hide it. That would be probably
More forward
more forward in front of it. Right now, there's nothing in front of it. It's a straight shot to the road. That's it for me.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
On the east elevation, I'm just saying that there's 10, the depth of the porch on the left is 10 feet.
It's an east elevation?
Yeah, proposed
Okay.
east. Just wanted to note that.
Up here? Oh, I thought he had reduced that
On
down.
the second floor,
Yep.
Not the deck.
it says 10 feet.
It's 8 feet from the middle part, from the part that
But
sticks
from
out
the
most.
further back, it's 10.
Yeah, but the one that sticks out the most, so pretty much the furthest out is 8.
All right, Steve,
The
what,
building that's, I mean,
have you,
the part that actually,
No, that's just a
it's
comment.
just
yeah.
Yeah.
3 alternates. You,
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Appreciate the changes. I think little things make a big difference, and that's been helpful. I think, I don't mind the bump, the subterranean if there's a buffer requirement to be retained along that side of the house, whichever side it is. I guess it's west, which is to say that naturalized vegetation is retained within the setback, kind of as you've drawn it. It's below grade. It's going to, if the fence is approved, it'll be behind the fence. It's probably 100 feet from the road. The scrub oak out there is probably 3 or 4 feet tall, minimum, and subject to that, I wouldn't have a concern with it. Again, the important part of that is that the buffer remain. On the decks, I have some concern over the rear view, which I believe is south.
Yeah.
Let's call it south for
South,
the
yeah.
purposes of the discussion, since it's not labeled. It's just a tremendous amount left to right, but it's not viewable from anywhere that I can see on any map. So I'm a little bit in conflict with that. I would suggest to you that it might go a long way in addressing your regularity, the deck size formula. If you could either break that into portions. If you look at your, it's up to you how you do it.
I would be more, I would be more willing to break it down into portions, like pretty much maybe incorporate with the roof into the deck, and then have still that at the west section of the deck.
Right, so if you look at your proposed south elevation, you had a set of doors on the left side of the left side gable.
Yeah.
And if you were to break maybe one or other of that away from the rest of the deck, you might. I would not have an issue with the windows and doors going back in for access. But again, that would be your solution. And I think, just the other comments that were made about the depth of the deck. Make sure that you're 8 feet maximum protrusion. My understanding is that if it's tucked in somewhere in a building, it's okay, but anything that protrudes should be no more than 8 feet, that, based on past practice.
If the wall is recessed in,
Yeah.
but otherwise it has to be 8. Also, I need you to consider that the land on the south, where you say you can't see it,
Is that
belongs
land
to Land Bank.
Yeah,
And Land Bank makes it public access, and if it's public access, public view, then it becomes visible from
yeah.
that land, and therefore comes under our rules
Except-
of 65%.
Okay, so Madam Chair, subject to that, I would say, please break up that back deck a little bit,
Yeah,
and then look at your.
except there is not really any access or any path in that
I
area.
think because it's a
Walking
public
through those.
land, it
Yeah.
becomes part of a private way under the Nantucket regulations, so.
Yeah,
It's ultimately should be,
yeah, nobody can walk through there.
Madam Chair,
yes,
I'd like to make a motion to hold for revisions.
all right, all those in favor?
I,
Right.
All right, holding for revisions. That is a full board asking for revisions. All right, the next one is the garage studio. How tall,
23 and a half.
how tall was the house?
23 and a half,
So the house?
23
The main house.
at the main house, little below 30 feet, 29, 8,
Substantially larger.
yeah.
All righty. So what would you like us to look at in regards to this?
Pretty much first was the location of the garage, because you commented on that before, and I tried to bring it closer to the main house by a few feet. I didn't want to put it too close also. It was supposed to be separate structure, not very, very everything very tight. So I brought it closer to the main house and changed the size of the windows in the dormer on the north elevation, and also reduced the deck, which was also a little bit too big, to 8 feet. And that's it. It was all the comments that you had before.
This was the
All right, and we had a discussion about being basically put in front of the house, because when you come in off Wigwam,
Yeah,
the driveway will be to your right and in front of the house, right?
yeah, yes.
there is some out there like that.
Yeah.
All right, you want to begin?
Sure, I appreciate the window changes facing the road. I still think the windows on the east are too small, given the wall plane above the garage doors. And I didn't notice this before, but is there a way you could make the railing on the exterior stairs match the deck? It seems funny to have an open railing deck and then a closed rail, which is an L shape coming down off of it. It's a little bit of a disconnect for me, but that's it.
All righty. Steve?
Yeah, I just support what Val said, and then I think the only thing is, on the east elevation, I see that one of those windows is a bathroom window. I'd have no issue with that being the other being a double hung, similar to the Bs that you have.
Yeah.
And I think that will change the front. Personally, I don't think every facade of every house has to be even and symmetrical and so on and so forth. I think a little bit of breaking it up is not a bad thing.
Even
Matt?
double hung won't really work because of the counter.
I agree
You
with
can
what's been
flip the-
said,
You can flip the
and
floor plan.
I appreciate
Yeah.
the changes. In terms of the location of the proposed garage, I think it's perfectly appropriate for it to be in front of the house in this particular location on Wigwam Road. Although the applicant, you may want to consider moving the garage even closer to the house if you desire to have that subgrade terrace space on the west side of the house. If the garage is closer to that, it will more effectively block it from being visible from the street.
And your 3D picture shows the visibility. The first
I've seen that
picture.
myself, yeah. Yeah, I mean, shows the fence, yeah, mostly.
Yeah.
May I make a motion, Madam Chair?
Yes,
To hold, to track
to
with,
track
with
with
the
the main
house.
house. Alrighty, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right, that's unanimous. And the third one is the pool cabana.
I think this one was okay, wasn't it?
Nice
You
place.
didn't look at it.
Nice.
Didn't you say we were fine
You
with it?
didn't look at it.
Oh,
I had a close friend who came back.
John, I don't see your pen.
Steve, would you like,
Yes, I am ready to comment, sir.
2 showers.
What do you want, a cabana?
Did you change the roof? The connection?
No,
Did you lower?
no,
Oh, I
we
thought they
never
were the same
discussed.
height.
We never discussed this, so.
Oh,
it may
okay.
not change.
Well, I like the difference in the height of the connector portion. I think it gives it some visual interest that we don't always see. And it's going to be pretty far from the street at a oblique angle. I have no issues with it. The windows are a little tall, the A's. But other than that, no other comments.
Basement.
so, Matt,
Want me to go?
Yeah, why don't you go, Val?
Okay. I think the scale and everything is fine. I'd like to see the windows be something other than what you have them as, so it ties in better with the other 2 structures. This is a window that isn't in the other 2. It's just introducing yet another style, so if it could be something, and maybe a little bit smaller, because it's almost the size of a door. That's it.
that's it. So, what do you think?
I don't know, I don't think I have anything to add right now.
All right, and I think that they're right in reducing the size of those windows that are, I don't know what they are, but they're not.
Yeah, they're tall. They're supposed to be pretty much, from almost from the floor. Tall window to bring lots of light in the.
Well, I wouldn't mind them as a door and come down, but they're just a window that,
Yeah, it's that fish or bird thing.
yeah.
It's kind of one, but not.
Yeah.
So,
I'll do some changes to those, either door or the size.
we have a motion
Motion to hold for revisions then,
and track,
and track with the house.
and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it,
Aye.
all of us.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Val's
No.
back.
For information,
track.
we had a conversation yesterday regarding George Delaney, because he was coming from New York and was worried about travel constraints. We heard a little earlier.
Where is he on the list?
I don't know if he lives here.
Oh, he is.
Oh, yes,
I'll
yes.
switch with him.
Yes, yes.
I'll switch my other 2 with him.
Would you,
That's so nice.
So he
can
can
we
go.
just sort of put him next and then you'll be
Yeah,
right
yeah,
up?
and then I'll go
I'll make
next.
Okay.
a motion, I'm gonna make a motion to move number 17 on the agenda, Fort Delaney Road, up to number 4 on old business.
Great. All those in favor of Christine's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for reminding me of that, Kathy. Okay, you're next. James.
Okay, so the board for this is Paul McLaughlin, Glazer, Camp, and Oliver.
Just a heads up, I made a correction, so
Okay, it's good.
these are better. Yeah, I hope they're better.
I love it.
Thank you very much for accommodating me just in case. I appreciate it.
Nothing, you know, it's coming.
Thank you. Ready?
No, it's yours.
Is everybody set?
Correct. I don't believe so. It's
So it's
second from the corner. That had a demolition approved a while ago. I didn't present that demolition.
It's really good. It's green tea.
It tastes like chocolate.
yeah.
It would be a 20-foot wide cut. I think it's
Certain. There's a maximum width on this double. I can't remember what it was.
on the double wide cut. I thought it was 20. I could be wrong.
Just check.
Marcus told me. I'm sure Marcus will tell me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so why don't you walk us through the revision?
Sure. So James Kraft of Studio Park. Per the recommendation of the board last time, a couple comments were change the overall height where we could. Another thing to do is simplify the main ridge of the building. Before it used to have kind of a semi-unnatural break along the northern facade without a step in the building. It also asked to change up a lot of different window configurations, possibly simplify and possibly use larger windows. We had a large series of like too many tiny windows, and in particular square 4-light windows. So we made a variety of changes to windows, but the biggest changes that we made were to simplify the front facade at secondary mass and bring it down. It used to be a broken mass. We made it a singular mass with a double dormer and a single dormer. That's the east elevation on A201. And then the other kind of larger move we made was that we made the street-facing gable a continuous ridge at one height rather than breaking it up. Overall, the building's just a much simpler, kind of cleaner building, less breaks, a little less fussy, if you will. And then there were numerous little window changes in those two moves to the facade. Overall, that's the bulk of the changes presented today. Oh, that and when we changed the front mass, we turned the front porch into a hip roof when it used to be a asymmetrical shed roof.
The other thing that you didn't mention is on the north elevation, you broke up that
I did that too.
sort
Thank
of
you.
run-on roof by introducing a little single-story gable.
That's
That
correct.
was very
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Certainly better than that long.
Yeah.
It was a little extensive. Overall, we just think it's a simpler building.
I appreciate the changes you made. I think it really, really helped the design a lot.
That's it, Val?
Yeah, I think it looks nice. Appropriate.
Okay. Abigail, what do you think of this one?
Well, I appreciate the reduction in height, but I think now, on the east elevation, the secondary massing seems dominant over the main massing. Now that we've you had it stepped back, and it sort of gave that main gable coming forward sort of a presence. Now it seems shadowed by the secondary massing. Although I don't know how to fix it, because everything else looks improved. But, so that's my thought on that.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
You ready, Christine?
Sure. So I appreciate the evergreen changes you made as well. However, now that we have a sort of a compare and contrast situation, in looking at your first submission, there were elements of it, I agree with Abby, that I do like a little bit better. I wish you had taken this leftmost addition and dropped the eave and dropped the height of the whole building.
We tried that, and it felt.
Okay, well,
Keep going. Sorry.
and additionally, when viewing the building from the north, I would have liked to have seen this whole section sort of jog back so that this plane, so that there was a line.
Separation.
Exactly, so that it jogged back and really looked like it was added on. And I think that that would help this, I think it would vastly improve the north elevation. But I like what you did with your step back.
We made the break on the lower level, not on
Yeah.
the upper level of
Right,
this
and
configuration.
I
Yes.
feel like you need to make them on the upper levels still. That's my main, that's it. for me.
Okay. John, it's your turn.
I went from a south elevation, I'm getting confused over here. The south elevation is going to be visible from Delaney Road on the curve here. Where this curve is, straight up through here. That's going to be visible, south side. Now, I don't think the transit should be approved in the location, highly visible. Looking up.
I don't believe we're going to have visual view of that due to the house on the corner. I don't believe we're going to have a view of that from the, I see what you're saying, from the south side down to the corner of the, no, I see this, but on the,
Yeah,
go to the GIS.
the house next door. But I think
You will see.
it's visible there.
When I'm like this, with his garage and everything in the back, as well as the
Just like you can see.
Big tree in the center, this guy,
I think it's pretty limited.
that's the current house, right?
I'd like to limit it.
Interesting.
If you give it to somebody that can see it, and it's what kind of,
Understood.
I just think it's good. It's cool when looking up that,
I think we'll use some of the existing driveway.
even past the garage.
That's where they double went.
That's better.
That is true.
This is 2 cents. Can I add to my 2 cents? Right.
You're gonna add 2 more cents?
2 more.
Okay, we're up to 4.
Well, off of
I was explaining something.
Oh, I'm
John's-
sorry, I thought that you had finished.
I know. I wanted to say
So hold-
something about.
Oh, well, hang on, let John finish.
Flashing lights are gonna be visible on the curve of the road right here, and you curve past this garage, you're gonna see it. You know, and I'm just saying, you know, that we should not be approved.
I would
There's
Right,
in the
so, and,
whole structure just doesn't conform to the rest of it. That's my comment.
thank you. And then, so you were gonna
Thank you, Tom.
comment on that, right?
Right.
Abby?
The south elevation is I think the most successful elevation. So I'm, and I.
So you like the transit?
But
okay.
I did want to comment on the little dormers above the ganged windows.
Oh,
Yes.
whoa,
What?
why don't they line up?
Well, also, I
Like
think they're
completely
so
random.
petite.
They're so small.
They're
Is that
in,
true?
in proportion to the other windows, I just think they seem on the small side. Like
But if they even remain,
dollhouse size.
they should line up with the windows below them.
That's purely
Just a
accidental,
drafting
right?
error.
Yeah, that's,
That would be nice too.
I
So,
would blame my staff if it wasn't me drawing it. Apologize.
gotta break out that whip every now and then.
Those were my extra 2 cents.
So, okay, now you're up to 4, you got one left. So I feel a little bad, James, because I think I was the one that brought up the idea of simplifying that side wing and back wing by getting into those, basically running the roofs at a single height across. Just could you clarify for me?
Yes.
So we had 2 different heights of ridge on this guy.
It only
And I-
steps back on the front in this iteration, so the back facade was flush. That's why the.
I got that, but so, this new version, is the ridge the higher height or the lower height?
It's the lower. We brought
It's the
that
lower
whole mass
height,
down, yeah.
Yeah, Abby, I'm not sure that unified thing will compete any more than this, which was, what was the step back on that, James?
18 to 24 inches off the top of my head.
previous.
It was simply an attempt to try to break it.
No, I get it. I don't know, I
But
just, I like the
with
simplicity of that.
maintaining our like kind of 4-foot dormer from the sides, it just got very tight in there. So we thought that cleaning it up was actually better than stepping it down.
So I personally am okay with that, just the way it's rendered now. I wonder if you might be able to go back to something that would address some of the board members concerned about this long ridge now.
If I were to simply bring back this with a minor step and keep this, and I know not everybody can
Well,
see this, would that be approval via staff? Like we looked at that iteration and we liked it, but I did want north elevation,
Yeah.
where basically I'm merging my old north elevation second floor with my new north elevation first floor. So bringing the main ridge down again, but to what it was, but breaking up the long shed roof along the north edge.
Yeah, would it look more like the previous?
The top definitely
He's
would.
gonna take this and he's gonna apply it to here.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, further, maybe I
I'm
misunderstood.
gonna try to.
Are you
I'm gonna put
create
I'm gonna put a
there?
break in there.
Yeah, jog it back.
'Cause
And
now
not
he
a
has
not
the
a fake
opportunity
one.
to do that.
Not
Now
a,
he has
Really
this little
jog it
gable
back.
down.
it will be tiny. It will be like a foot maybe.
I think it will help that roof, that whole roof area.
That's all that
Are you
jogs
guys
back.
talking about the north?
Correct. So Val, what I'm suggesting
Yeah,
is.
I'm fine with the north. I thought the issue was the east,
So jog back this much.
that you guys had an issue with.
It was a little bit of both.
I did, but they don't.
See right now,
Not the front elevation, not the north. We're talking about this east
Oh.
elevation. When we were talking about this piece, jogging back, it doesn't really jog back very much.
It did. It used to. It used to do this. It doesn't anymore.
see this, it was always here.
That was always there.
Right.
So what I'm going
But
to do
now
is
he's
that.
just taken the whole thing and moved it to here, or it's all
all
here?
there. It's all there.
It's all the narrower dimension. But you want, it sounds
James,
like,
can the B windows be taller? A little bit taller?
A little bit. One of the reasons why we didn't extend the B and rather added a bunch more C's in was that a lot of those are in bathroom configurations where I start to hit sill heights and stuff. So, but I'd be fine with probably making them 3 to 4 inches taller in several locations. Probably not all of them.
Okay, so James, we understand what you want to do now, we understand and appreciate what you want to do on the north elevation. Christine is looking at now the thing that Abby had brought up earlier, which was the fact that, okay. So on the east elevation, that simplification thing that happens to the left of the main gable, is that essentially, as you pointed out, the piece that was recessed back is now brought up flush with the piece that was always there?
Correct.
And it,
So for 30 feet.
what you were hinting at
The
was
space
just
only jogs
pushing.
back 2 feet, yeah, exactly.
Correct. You were kind of wanting to push it back a little bit more. Is that possible?
Just to,
know what I mean?
No, I understand. The
so this is really
The hinge of things is a little bit on the inside corner where we want to add that break back to the roof that we liked before, which makes it
on the right.
tough.
Yeah.
But I think we could. I mean, in reality, it's 10 feet plus back from where the face of the porch and everything is, so it's much deeper than it reads, flatter than it is in reality.
I
But
think
I-
people
Okay.
will compare. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have
I was-
something to say too.
I don't know how far I can pull it back without dramatically changing it.
What if you dropped that secondary mass a little bit and didn't have so much fenestration? That might make it,
Here?
On the first
on
floor.
the, to the left, yeah. That might make it less competitive with the main gable coming forward.
Do you?
You've
I'm
got
not-
4 main windows looking right at you,
See,
and the banked window,
go back to this.
if that was simplified,
You could just drop the height of that and just jog it back just a little more, then I think you really have a more successful additive program.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
you know, because the idea, what my first thought on this whole thing where I thought it should get lower was because of the neighboring houses are smaller. So
Sure.
anything we can do to bring down massing.
Step it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did that in overall, but it doesn't translate the same way when I'm comparing one to another. Like this one still appears a little more, because the other one was more broken to begin with. It looks smaller. We were hoping it was that the simplification and the fact that it was a little less bumps and bruises to it might keep it more simple. I think one other thing that might be beneficial and helps also break it back down again might be to extend the porch roof again, which I think always helps to cut the mass.
Yeah.
We went back and forth with that. You like the hip?
I like the hip too.
I like the simpler porch. I just think it's a matter of this left piece is overtaking the main mass to some degree.
I think you got different options you can investigate. 1, push the whole thing back. 2, reintroduce the step that you had previously.
Yeah.
3, lower the eave. Reduce the fenestration.
And also have the fenestration line up a little, that would give it some.
Yeah, that's true. Abby.
Make it
Right
quieter.
now, it's gone from being very symmetrical to being a little bit more random. So, can we leave it at that? I don't
Yeah.
think this is unfortunately.
Motion to hold
changed
for
it.
revision?
Yeah, it's not something we could do through staff, but we're almost there.
Yeah, it's a nice design. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, now, we're back from our commercial break, back to the Val Oliver Show.
Oh, okay. That's good. I guess we
Good,
go.
good.
Good.
So the board on this one is.
Which one are you doing,
Oh,
Kath?
thank you.
5 Hedgeburg.
Okay.
Right, is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Glazer, and Camp. Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Glazer, and Camp.
Okay.
Below. Okay, also the alternate was Welch.
I did not give you my last incarnation.
You didn't?
No, I just gave the original one and this. I'm sorry. I can give you what it was here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the front note didn't change, and that I don't think was an issue for anybody. It was mostly the east and the west, and formerly I had this as the east with, it was a suggestion of a porch, but
Oh, yeah,
remember?
Yep.
Wanted to simplify it, so I, instead of stopping the porch here and then restarting, which was only like a foot deep, I eliminated that and made it a simpler mass, so to speak, with the porch coming all the way across. And then in the rear, I had a gambrel as the
Okay, so
additive.
what we're looking at, these drawings are what you're actually requesting. You're only saying that you didn't supply the previous
Yeah.
thing, so you're showing that. Okay,
Yeah,
got it,
yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So instead of a
Now, I have a
gam,
question right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So let's look at that right east elevation.
Can I see your previous?
yeah,
Is the little addition off of the L that comes off the gambrel in the same plane? These two are in the same plane?
yeah, so that corner, that roof,
Is up applique.
yeah,
It's stuck on, but those two are in the same plane, which
Yes.
is why you can run the porch across. straight
yes,
like that.
correct,
Okay, thank you.
yep,
Okay,
That's you?
okay.
oops.
I love that song. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No. In the rear, it was I tried to make it a gambrel to match the main roof, and it seemed like everybody thought that was, needed a little more simplification, so I made it a gable. Made the windows more consistent. I had two smaller windows on either side of the chimney, which also wanted different corbelling. And then the west really sort of follows the east in terms of the roof and all that.
What kind of corbelling is that? It's sort of modern corbelling
I think it's just
on the
her-
chimney.
I think it's just her software, maybe.
Well, it can be whatever you want it to be.
I
That
don't-
was just
It is
a-
very modern. It looks like
It
Art
both looks
Deco.
cute.
I like it, but
So,
this house is kind of traditional. I would think it would, sort of corbel in
so
or out.
there'd be, instead of indenting between the two, it would go out again.
out,
Yeah, got it.
So did you make any changes on the west?
Just the roof line of the
You
piece.
added another window.
Oh, you did?
I think so.
On the first floor?
Argus side, Christine found it. It's under the porch there.
Yeah, you're right.
Looks good.
Okay. Is that, have you spoken?
No, I'm okay with everything except for the corbelling at the top. It
Okay.
looks too modern to me.
Okay. Christine?
let Diane go first.
Okay, Diane.
That's right. I agree with Abby. I think that it's, what has been done is acceptable, and I'd just like to see a more traditional ending of the chimney.
Okay.
Okay, good. Let's see, Johnny.
Qualified and colors?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. P, that would be me. No, so you have to go first. You gotta go now.
Well, you know, I pretty much like it. I guess, I know the board's not gonna wanna hear this.
Oh, God.
I know. I liked the abbreviated route on your first submission.
Which Ellen?
Where? The front? Here, this is what she submitted the last time.
East.
The east. In front of the house.
Mhm.
It seems like a lot of roof now, that's all. But, you know.
Oh, that's not the front, that's the
The
side.
side, rather.
Why is this,
No, that's the front of the house. I'm
Front of the
talking
house is
about
south.
The east is the right-hand elevation.
It was more or less to break up what would be that wall plane of the additive mass. There.
I'm in the minority though, so whatever.
Well, unfortunately, the way that this board works is we go sequentially. Somebody always has to be first and somebody has to be last. So sometimes you pick up on something that somebody says last that might resonate with you, even though you've already spoken first. So that's just the nature of this.
Yeah.
I think that if the porch were to go away, Christine, that extra section that troubles you, then you would have this sort of two-story mass that was in the same plane as the gambrel, which would definitely look bad.
Yeah.
I think this is a way of reconciling it so that it kind of makes everything work.
I don't disagree.
go back to the porch?
Well, the porch is there. Christine was just questioning whether it should be there. But I think to cut it back would bring us back to some of the issues that we had the last time around.
Yeah.
So, are we
We're good.
pretty much good? We want to corbel the chimney, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve with the top of the chimney being corbelled with it or traditional corbelling.
Great. All those in favor of Diane's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Too late. So now we got Starbrook, right?
Yeah. So this next one,
The board on this next one is, Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, and Glazer.
the short version of this is, I had this plan drawn and approved in 2009, and then renewed at another time because it was going to expire, and for this, I still haven't built it, renewal. Things have changed out there, so when I submitted this, I didn't realize this had to be 25 feet now, and it was
Oh,
previously
ouch.
approved at 27.
That's a
So
big
I
deal.
had to sort of start over. In the corner, I show you what was originally approved several times, and now this is our scaled-down
Wow.
version to meet that criteria.
Now, so this is old business, so we've already reviewed this
Well,
25-foot.
You didn't really, because when I came in, I had just found that out, so I said, you may as well hold it, because there's no point in...
Okay, all right. Diane, are you ready?
Oh,
Or John or Christine?
I just was turning it over. So this is just to drop the height now, right?
Well,
It
not
is,
just.
but in dropping the height, some of the roof line had to change.
Yeah.
That was more secondary. So, really, you may as well just start from scratch. Just look at this.
I like some of the stuff that you had on the old drawings, the previous approval that you had. I think that the front door area looks to me as being more suitable. And,
Because it had side lights.
well, because it had side lights and I like the windows on either side rather than those little ones. I don't know, it just sort of fits in there to me, it does. Because you sort of had that whole wraparound porch on the first floor on the old one, and I know it, to bring it down. On the rear elevation, the north, I would rather see the gable sort of different, and I don't know how you can break up that main roof. I'd like to see it broken up a little bit. It is, well,
The whole building's 54 side to side.
yeah, it's not so bad, that one. I have it as 36 feet approximately on the main roof.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see some variation on that rear elevation. I think with the three gables and then the long porch in a straight line and then the straight line below it, it gives you the impression of a longer building than it really is. I like the old one.
I know, me too. Oh, and I should mention it's natural trim, terratone sash, cottage red front door.
Right. Well, that's from now, all I have to say. It's
Okay.
just those things, and I think the old one, I wish there was something you could do with it.
Okay.
John? No? Christine?
I think I echo everything that Diane said, and I'm not sure if she's already said this, so I apologize for repeating it now. On your front elevation itself, I think that left shed dormer should go up a little bit higher on the roof. And I think maybe Diane did say this, that the dormer on the right should become a shed dormer. And I do agree with her about your front door. There's something very significant about it. I'm not sure why, but and maybe
I agree with that.
The previous floor was nice.
Yeah.
yeah, very nice. On the west elevation, I'm trying to think what the visibility is of that west. I'm not sure, but anyway, I think that the building would maybe benefit from either a fake corner board or something showing a vertical line where you have a window down on the
I
first
gotcha.
floor. And moving along to the north elevation, there's something about those floor lights in your gables, but I'm not sure what it is. I think it's because all the gables are different sizes, and the floor lights are all the same size. I don't know. They're
Okay.
sitting at different
Yeah.
height. I don't. Maybe
Gotcha.
just have a look at that. And I think Diane probably spoke to everything that you're going to look at on that elevation.
Could I just ask a question? Are they, is the house 2/1s or 2/2s?
I have mixed up ones. You're right. Two over, either one. Previous,
I like 2/2s.
it's funny, in the old one I had a mix too, that's funny. 2/2s.
That's a good idea. Thanks, Christine. I have nothing to add to those comments, so I think we're looking for some revisions.
Okay,
All right?
yep.
Motion to, oh, did Abby go?
Abby's not on there.
Oh, motion to hold for some revisions.
All those in favor of Christine's motion?
Aye. Thank you.
Does anybody know how long we're staying here today? Because we're going at such a slow pace.
We are. Yeah.
I just thought we might think about it.
Okay.
It's 20 of 3.
We're going to go faster now.
21. No, I appreciate that. Some of these are being held, which, like, for example, I think Emeritus's stuff we're holding.
It was about, I think it's 137, 141. I don't know about the others.
Say that again?
Just 137, 141, which isn't on there. I took it off.
Oh.
They asked me.
Oh, so the other stuff is being heard.
They didn't tell me that they didn't want.
Okay, all right. I thought for some reason we needed to this. Oh, my God.
Okay, so the board
Show
on
your
this.
sleeping bags.
What are we looking at? Rosie?
9 Broadway.
Is Cole
Oh,
Coombs?
he wanted to take it off. Sorry.
The board on this is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Welsh, and alternates are Oliver and Coomer.
Paul Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Welch. Okay, hit it. As you heard, we have very little time left for you.
I just thought I'd start, there was a letter submitted
yeah.
for the record from the owner, and I didn't know if it's appropriate, Ray, if I should read that, or if everyone has read it, or probably
From the
not.
owner?
Yeah, it's very short, so I'm happy to read it aloud if that's
Go for it.
the thing to do. All right, it says, this is from Catherine Roby, the owner. Dear Commissioners, we have owned our home, Snug Harbor, at 9 Broadway since 2005. We love our historic cottage and the historic village in which it is located. However, the small nature of the layout makes it a challenge for family living. By covering our outside terrace with a pergola, we will be able to enjoy Snug, the name of the house, with our growing family. In this home, every inch matters. We have designed the pergola to have as little impact visually and to afford us as much living space as possible. When I saw the computer model, I felt confident that we had accomplished our goals and those of the commission. I hope that you will agree. Catherine Roby. So if I could just highlight the changes, all of which are clouded, but as a reminder to some of the comments that came out of the first review. I did rework the pergola such that the pergola rafters, I removed the tails and I was able to lower the pergola rafters such that they're now flush with the beam. I believe John had a comment that the built-up height of pergola beam plus rafters was around 18 inches, and John had suggested that it'd be better if we could get it to 12 or less. It's 11 now. So I was able to reduce that overall sort of apparent height that you would view from along Front Street. I also told you that I would do what I could to model this space so that we could sort of have a better view of it in 3D, and you can refer to the last page of your drawing sets for those views. I've picked 3 views which are keyed back to the site plan on the cover so that you can see those vantage points. Those renderings show that the fence has been removed. There's an existing picket fence there today. The owner is not opposed to removing that fence, but I also think we could talk about keeping the fence if that felt like an important element to the board. Beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Okay, thank you. Diane, would you like to start on this one?
No.
No. Actually, it was a lot to grasp. How about you, Abby?
My first thought right off, when you mentioned the fence, and I saw that the fence wasn't there, I think it definitely needs to have the picket fence in front of it to sort of bring it back to a Sconset scale, a Sconset style. Right now, it's just appearing just too modern, and that picket will break that up as you walk by there. Appreciate the reduction of the fascia, whatever, the built up, going down to 11. That's terrific. The material in between the rafters, could you go over that?
Yeah, sure. So a reminder that part of this proposal is these clear panels on top of those pergola rafters. And so the model views are geared towards a comment that Val had made about how visible we felt those panels would be. My hope is that you can see that you do begin to get glimpses up to within and in between those rafters. I realized after I produced that sheet of perspective views that also this view might be helpful. We have a couple we can pass around, but there's another view, sort of, if one were standing at that fence we just talked about putting back. Abby's also looking at a picture on the second page of the drawings that is a picture I found on the website of these panel manufacturers to give you an idea of how translucent they are. So, in concept, and I believe in reality, we'll find that we experience the daylight streaming through those panels in a fashion that's not unlike what they would be if the panels were not there.
Could I ask you a question? On your original drawing that we looked at
Yes.
a long time ago, you had those cross pieces instead of the long, clear panels. Which would you be doing?
Right now, I've not proposed to have those cross pieces. There are so perpendicular to the pergola rafters are the two pergola beams that I show in the plan.
Right.
But other than that, there's no other members running left to right. I'm not opposed to adding some if you feel that they would somehow
No, I just wondered
help.
which.
It just seemed to me that the less busy that it was kind of up there, the less your eye would even be drawn to it. So
Have you seen this material
I have.
in real life?
I have, yes.
Is it glossy, shiny, or is it dullish?
No, I would say that the finish on it is rather matte, so it's not reflective. It doesn't glisten like a storm window would glisten.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't find it to be reflective. It's engineered to be as translucent as possible, and I think it has a translucency rate of like 87% of natural light. I also find that when there's colors behind it, so that last perspective I passed around, I think, shows that as one would look into this courtyard, through these translucent panels, you see the roof as a backdrop to those vantage points. So it's not like you're standing right under it. I mean, one could do that. You would be trespassing at that point. But standing at that fence and looking through those panels, the courtyard is surrounded by a roof that is higher than the pergola on all three sides. So my point is simply that you have the backdrop of the natural red cedar roof behind those panels and a sort of above and either side of the pergola.
Can we hold
Yes.
everything just for a second? I'm thinking about our agenda. I'm thinking that we have at least another hour worth of applications here. And I'm looking at Brad in the back, who wants to do the discussion of the HDC Nantucket plan, which is going to require some time. And I do not want him waiting for another hour for us not to review that. But I do think, Brad, that by 4 o'clock, we're not going to be able, you're probably not going to have the board that you want to have.
Okay. Other time.
And I apologize. This is just taking,
Can we
these
put him on
applications are taking
first on Tuesday?
you know what? Would that be
Yeah.
all right? You going to be around Tuesday?
Yeah.
So this has gone on long enough. We'll be fresh. We'll put it at the beginning of the meeting, okay? All right. Thanks. Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
Thanks for listening to that. You have to leave in 5 minutes. Okay. I'm trying to remember whether you're on. Okay, so let's move this along.
If my feeling is they're probably going to put tables and chairs and,
Yeah.
and
There would be
all
a
this
table,
stuff
that's
because
correct.
it's there. They're going to have planting, and I don't have an opposition to it if it's invisible as possible because it makes for another spot and I don't know, to try it out at one place where we've not used it before may be a thing to do. I think architecturally it is not a bad item. I don't know how else to say. I'm not sure. I would like not to see it, but the use of the space may be able to disguise it.
Yeah, can I add to that? Okay, so I find the plastic or the glass, whatever it is, offensive to sconce it. And I think if we were to walk by that and see it, it's really going to glare at us. So I was thinking, what about a compromise of landscaping in the front, some kind of, the way people do wisteria or something like that, and have it only come halfway. It would cover the stair going down, so at least in the rain, that you would be protected. But it wouldn't be so in your face as you walk down. So many people walk down that street to get the essence of Sconset, and this is just so not. This is like over the top for Sconset. So I think a compromise.
I think that's a
Very
good
good.
compromise
Yep.
because it wouldn't be open when you went, wisteria and all that jazz, but that would give them some useful space. And if it didn't work out, we would, we would know it. You'd come back and ask for it to be removed.
So may I make a comment? Or do you want to?
I'd rather continue, Stephen.
Yep,
let's-
Yeah, I guess, thank you for the changes. I think that change in the height overall from the fascia perspective makes a big difference. Either way, the plastic I understand the concern about. I almost would like to see some up if I were, given
you
this
mean as
location.
like something of you?
If this were approved, I would like to see, I would like to approve it in sections and see it, whatever the structure is approved, but then some of the plastic put in place, and then rule on that. Given some of the concerns that have been expressed, I think this is, Sconset, this is right where people walk through. It's a kind of a historic footpath in and of itself. The thing I'm wondering, Steve, is I know that there was some discussion about maybe bringing that fascia back a little bit. And I don't feel terribly strongly about it, but I'm wondering if that could be done, and/or I think that this would have a completely different feeling when I'm looking at these perspectives. If maybe the posts were just inset 6 or 8 inches in more, and then it appeared to be more of a freestanding structure as opposed to attached.
Which is actually the way I want to build it. Yeah.
Which would mean that, just the fascia came in a little bit, and it just seems like it's a lot. And I think that would make a huge difference. I don't feel strongly about it, I just mention it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, John.
I don't find, he mentioned removing the picket fence out of the street. But whether he wants it or not, he has one, he can replace it.
Correct. And I think we'd all want, from what I hear, most of us want to see that fence go back.
Yeah, right.
So the only thing I'm going to add, hang on just one second, John, because I want you to stay in this. So I, like Abby, would like to see the thing pushed further off the front face of the two buildings. I like Stephen's idea about, you know, kind of putting a panel or two up and seeing what happens, and seeing what the effect is. This is very difficult to kind of anticipate what the impact of this is going to be. I think to be safe, though, it should be pulled off of the face of the two buildings. So far, no one has talked about the railing. Is that to say that, when I say railing, I don't mean the fence in the front, I mean the railing in the back, concealing or in front of the areaway? Is everybody okay with that railing
It's
back
already
there?
there, isn't it?
The stairwell
No, it's
is
not.
there.
Oh,
The stairwell is covered over by plywood or something like that.
I thought it made sort of an end to where the windows came down and you had the picket fence in front and then the
Just-
back.
Just making sure. I don't object to it.
May I? Looking at the guidebook, I think that there's a railing type, and what were you thinking, these are 2x2 balusters?
I was thinking it was the most typical railing that we see on every balcony that's around.
Sure.
So
No,
I was not looking to make it a design element. I actually just wanted to kind of disappear.
I got
Which
you.
is why I thought the old sort of ubiquitous rail type would do
Yeah,
that.
type two.
And it's natural to weather.
Yeah. which
Not
make it-
fence though, not type two, because that's a fence. I'm
Yeah.
saying just a typical railing, 2x4 cap, 2x2 balusters.
Right.
There's 2x2.
Natural to weather.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
What if we were to okay the pergola without the glass with the thing, and then saw a section of it up?
So
something like
that's,
that?
that's to Stephen's point, which I think is a very good one. Regardless, personally, I would like to see the thing move back a little bit.
Yeah.
That was one comment.
And Abby's idea of having it only go so far up
So that it
is a
only
good
goes
one
like
too.
that.
Yes.
So
You-
that's plastic.
we could, once we see it.
Pushing up
I'm just
the
wondering if I could speak to that one comment, Abby.
on top of the-
Oh, I misunderstood. Yep.
Which was only to say that at some point, if I bring it back far enough, because there's that 4-foot stairwell there, I'll be left with a spot that they can't even fit a table. So I have looked at that because I heard you at our last hearing, and I do have an idea of how far back it could go, and I actually even have an option, whether, I don't know if you want to see
make
it
the
now or not.
railing a
but-
seat and have the table push up to it.
I looked at that, but the ladder effect then, it doesn't meet the code as far as the guardrail goes,
Make it a
which was a
shingled
problem.
rail and just cut in a little bench.
I can certainly put a bench up against that railing, and the idea was that I just felt like that railing, because it's transparent, would allow you to perceive the actual building itself in the background, which I think helps the whole kind of stair thing actually just disappear.
Yeah,
So,
it disappears, I think.
right. I'm afraid a shingled wall would just feel heavier and call more attention to it. So. So I didn't know, this option includes the fence, which I think I heard you say. The posts have come in a little bit because I actually have to dance around a window wall that's there.
There you go.
And I'm able to pull it back about 3 feet. And so just in the interest of everyone's time in the long run, here's what that looks like.
Okay, well, so it is pulled back considerably with respect to the two-point gables.
It's pulled back 3 feet. Those posts are pulled in about 2 feet from either side, to Steve Walsh's comment.
So much better.
And the fence is left as it exists today.
I have an idea.
All right.
I mean, from an architectural standpoint, putting aside the whole glass plastic issue, this looks like an okay solution to me. I mean, it satisfies, I think, a lot of our concerns. Could we approve this without the glass?
Yes.
You move forward with the structure, and then we see just basically what Steven said. Put in some glass, we see how it is, see if we have to hold it back by any margin, see what, if we have some vegetation in front, whether that obscures the glass, et cetera, et cetera. And that is a very conservative way of moving into basically what I would call uncharted territory.
Right.
So,
One question, did anybody look at the Chanticleer? They've
Oh,
done that
yeah,
about
yeah,
20 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
They put that glass up there.
Yeah.
And nobody ever complained about it. I'm just
It's
saying,
funny.
Oh,
The
outside.
only difference is that that's set a little bit further back from the road.
Also, that's a private restaurant.
Yeah.
This is the tourist.
It's a good point, though, that it does exist.
Well, I think if we put it up without the glass and then put in a panel or two, we've covered all the bases that we can possibly do to see whether it may turn out we can't see it at all.
Yeah.
So I make that motion, but I have a question here, just for clarification. Steve, it's hard to tell because these are, from an angle. Is the fascia, is this pulled in at all, or it actually touches either side? Just
If
for
you-
clarification.
Absolutely, Stephen. If you just go back 2 pages, there's the section view that shows that it's pulled back to 3 feet.
Okay. No, I mean left to right,
Oh,
To
so,
make it look like it's floating.
freestanding.
gotcha. No, it's not.
I-
But to your point, I actually don't want to transfer any of the wind loads on this pergola into the little antique structure, so I intend to hold them back.
Okay.
I was only going to hold them back, a couple of inches.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking anything more. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve subject to the fascia being held back from the 2 wings some number of inches, and the plastic not being part of this application, but we're receptive to a review.
Good. Further, we want to say that we are approving not the plans that were submitted previously, but the plans that show the pulled back version. In other words,
They're actually
Why don't
labeled,
you- why don't you
they're
say
labeled as
exhibit A?
option B.
Why don't we label it
For-
Exhibit A?
Or they're labeled as option B.
Exhibit A.
you didn't
option
submit
B.
those,
I
right?
did not. I just brought
Okay.
them to the
Terry,
meeting.
Terry, that'll be subject to the HDC review set option B of March 2nd, 2017.
And how many copies are on the table?
No. March 23rd, so.
I just got this.
Mine says the 2nd.
Okay, but he's just submitting this to us today.
Yeah, he didn't submit these with the others.
I've
So
not gone to the office yet.
what we're going to do, see, she's labeled this as Exhibit B.
Oh, you got a different.
No,
Say
Exhibit
second.
A.
Option B.
Option B.
Right.
So just say Exhibit A, Option B,
That's
and
what I'm
that will
saying.
cover us. Right.
And that has the picket tube fence going across.
I was just referring to the lower corner.
This is without the
Yeah.
plexiglass.
One says option B, one
Yeah.
doesn't. That's all.
Based on what you just said, correct? That plexi is still shown in these drawings, but per the motion that was just made, it does not include
It's
that.
see-through, so you can't see it in there.
Okay, so I'm
So that's what I'm saying.
Yep, she gets it. I have read it.
I agree with you.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table. All those in favor
There's another
Aye.
copy of
of
it.
Stephen's motion? Aye.
this is it.
Aye. Okay. Yeah, no, it's 3. Thanks for hanging around for that, John. Okay, so that was carried unanimously. Let the record show that John McLaughlin is leaving at 3 o'clock. Bye, John. Okay,
All right, thank you.
you're all set with us, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now, do we have somebody here for 17 Columbus?
So, I just spoke with Anton from Americas, and he would like to hold, Matt was gonna be representing the last day of the 3 on the agenda, hold it till Tuesday.
Hold all 3 of his? See, I told you.
Okay.
He wasn't specific in his email.
No, I'm kidding, I'm
I'll
kidding.
make a motion then to hold items 7, 8, and 9 on old business until next Tuesday.
All those in favor of Christine's motion?
Aye.
Great, okay. Now we're at 5A Pine Tree Road. Hello.
Hi, how are you? I'm Dean Belanger.
Who's your friend over there?
This is, I don't know if you know her, but this is
Don't
Val.
sit too close, something will happen.
So the board on this is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Frazier, and Welsh.
This is Coombs, McLaughlin, Blazer, and Welsh, right? So we have lost John. Okay,
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I remember this.
Find it.
I think that's a synopsis of what they've done.
okay, all right. Well, so
Yes.
you'll,
I can, yeah,
thanks.
that's all right.
That's fine. Okay.
So this was held for revisions from, old business from February 28th. I'm Dean Belanger, the owner of the property. So we made some modifications. The board was suggesting that the overall height needed to change by approximately 2 feet. So we made a roof pitch change from 8 to 7, adjusted the height, the ceiling heights in both the first and second floor. So an overall height change of approximately 2 feet. So it came down from 28.6 to 26.7. There were also a couple of windows added to both the gable ends, I think as suggested by the HDC board. And I apologize because I wasn't here for the 228 meeting. I don't know if we go to the shed from there, or if that's all right, if we cover the shed in the same.
Shed is your other application.
That's right.
We're going to talk about that
Okay.
next. Right now, we're just looking at the building.
Okay, so also there was I have a picture survey there that I took of the neighborhood, just for your edification.
Okay.
Taking a look at.
Oh, sure, okay.
Now, would you refresh my memory? Is this the one that's behind
Yeah.
the house?
That's
Yep.
correct.
Okay. Does anyone want to look at
Oh, yes.
you know,
I
forget
do,
what it's
I
called.
totally remember. Yep.
Oh, right, and then the shed was towards the rear, that was gonna come up a little more in the front.
Well, he's moving the
Yeah.
shed
Oh,
from being
totally
in front of,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, so the shed has been moved now
Different size.
because of, well, yeah, it was going to essentially go in between the two because the board suggested that it not be out front. So the only other option that I really had was to put it where I did. There should be
That's the one with the site plan.
there should be a diagram there.
That's the next one then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the next.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So it's come down to 26.7?
So you lost
right.
essentially 2 feet out of the ridge height.
Which is really great.
Right.
And we have the south facing the street.
Actually, it's the west that is facing the street.
This is
Oh,
the one
that's
where
right. It's,
the entryway,
Oh, wait, let's show them, can I show them the
Sure.
site plan? Because they
Please.
don't have it in front of them.
so it's E facing the street?
No, it's,
the front door faces the other building, right?
Okay.
Isn't that?
yeah.
See, here is the little dwelling facing Pine Tree. No, right there.
That's right.
This is the little dwelling facing Pine Tree, and this building is behind.
Right. And so that, I believe, is
Is the front
quote,
door.
front door.
Right,
Yeah,
so it is E facing the street,
it is.
Yes,
Or E
Which would
facing
be
the other house.
facing the other house.
the west
Maybe.
Right,
faces the other house.
okay,
Faces.
so now we get it. Would you like to
So
see
that they'd walk from the parking and go in.
That's right.
We're not on it.
So the south is your front. Well, I tell you, I'm happy to go first if you'd like.
Please, that would be great.
Thank you very much for reducing the height, because I love your house in front, and I think that this will be a better, this will have a better relationship in scale. And the only real observation that I had was just the columns on your front door.
Exactly.
I thought maybe you could just beef them up a little.
Make them bigger.
They look like 4x4s
They
now.
look a little sticky, but,
They were like 6x6,
but other than
something
that,
like that.
Okay.
I really, let me just check the west. I'm okay.
Great. Okay. How about you, Stephen?
I guess I'd echo that, and the only thing I'd say is maybe that sea window, very minor, and I don't feel strongly about it because of its orientation, but maybe that sea window in the gable could be just scaled down just maybe a couple of inches in the other direction.
Actually,
It just seems a little big for that.
Maybe a
edge.
Like one size smaller.
Yeah, but otherwise, location, all the rest of it involved. I have been out there to do a second viewing, to look around the neighborhood, and I think it's appropriate for the area. It's a pretty high density area. things, so. This doesn't, I don't think this detracts in any way. Certainly not.
And I think that main house will cover your sliding doors.
It will.
Yeah.
Diane?
I think it is great. I think the changes you made, it's going to look really very well in that
Thank you.
area. And the house in front of it, I have no problem with it.
Okay, so it sounds like we can get a motion with a couple of very minor adjustments to the plans that can be done through staff.
Yeah, absolutely, and that would be on the south elevation to reduce the size of the C, as in Charlie windows, and to beef up the columns on the south elevation on the front door.
And you also want to reduce the corresponding window on the
On the north as well. Yes, the window occurs on the north and the south.
Yeah, I think those are the only two C windows. Yeah.
Yes, in the gable.
Great. All those in favor of Christine's motion? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now we have the shed.
Is this a little thicker than that?
I think it's just the way
That's that particular drawing program.
Increase the size of the
They're in the same plane. It's not like a plank frame window.
I
Yeah.
was just curious. It would look nice.
No, they always draw them like that, so, and then bigger, wider.
Oh, okay, great. And can I give you these? And I can just get, submit it, so.
And now we're relocating the shed? Oh, great.
Just have to reprint them and that's it.
No, it's fine. Thanks for
The shed is between the two
The two
buildings.
buildings.
Right.
Nice, thank you. That's really great.
Just to make sure that we're not, same board, right?
Yes, they will.
Okay, so, now the shed is in between those two buildings. I can't imagine this is visible from anywhere.
May I?
Yeah, please.
My only concern is that it's for you guys. I mean, would it not work perhaps more a little to the north, or you're in a setback area?
Yeah, well, I think that would be the problem, is the bulkhead kind of stretches out there, and then if we were to try and put it to the north, then we're dealing with a setback issue. It was
that's
really
unfortunate.
outside of the option that I gave the first time. This was the only other option outside of getting rid of the shed altogether.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No, I preferred, that's pretty much my second home, so
The man shed?
that's it. I prefer to keep it if I could.
Yeah, no, I have no issue with it being there. I just wanted to make sure that's where you want it, because it looked a little tight.
I'm going to make a motion to approve as submitted.
You're good, Diane?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor of Christine's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, Carrie.
So that's
So now Luke took the boys, and I'm hoping he'll get back in time, because there were 3 projects that were nixed. So, well, because Luke is right up after me,
Oh.
so but dropping the emeritus one
Yeah.
made it so he might not get back in
Okay,
time. but
so the board on this one is Cole, Coombs,
Anyways.
McLaughlin, Camp, and Welch, and alternates are Oliver and Twitter.
Okay, so we've dropped Johnny. Val, you want us to, no, actually, Matthew, since you haven't had very much opportunity today, I'm going to choose you.
He's fresh
Does it
off
matter that he wasn't
vacation.
on this before? It's old business.
Well, I think there's a sitting alternate.
okay, I remember.
I don't know, I don't see his name on here, but it's. So this was up before.
Sorry, I want to make sure that we're okay. So, Kathy, you said that Matthew was an alternate. When was the last time this was reviewed? Was he here for the last
The
review?
most recent one I have is February 14th.
And you were here then, right? You didn't leave till March, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not on this one, right?
I have Welch, McLaughlin, Coombs, Camp, Oliver, and Pohl were on it
Welch,
originally.
McLaughlin, Camp, Coombs, Pohl, that is correct.
Right.
And then we had Oliver and Cooner as alternates.
Oliver, I had comments from.
Well, you always get comments.
Okay.
Regardless.
Okay. Okay, I responded to most of them, but this house was viewed, and most of the issues were with the windows on the north elevation, which is actually the rear of the house, which it's out in the middle of nowhere. I wonder, should I go from the front elevation first? Sorry, I just jumped ahead. On the south elevation, the main concern was the front door needing its trim beefed up, and I changed it to a 4-panel, which seemed more appropriate with the 4 light windows. Now, we just beefed up the trim. I have a feeling it might have a little profile, maybe, because right now it's
You know,
like a...
Carrie, it's funny, I'm comparing it with your previous. The trim doesn't look any more substantial in
I
the new
think
one.
it was a 6-inch, and now I beefed it up to an 8-inch.
Oh, okay. Well,
But I think
was there a
the
reason
door
that you went from a
changed.
6-panel to a 4?
Yeah,
Oh,
because of the 4 light.
because
This,
of-
and
got it.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think the 4
I'm not
panel
going to
looks a
interrupt you
lot better.
anymore. Go ahead.
Oh, it's fine. I'm used to it. And then all the B windows you see on the front, that actually came about from a comment that Diane made about the gable end windows, and she thought they should be enlarged. And so I did that, but in doing that, I enlarged all the others. So they basically just match the width of the A's down below. They are a little shorter than the A's, but they now match the width of the A's. And they appear, I think, better on the elevations, which Diane had a problem with, which was the east and the west. The east and the north gables. So that's the impetus of enlarging all those B windows.
Fine.
And then the other issue people had was on the north elevation, the square, the sort of the smaller square windows, I elongated them so they didn't look so square. And I raised the one in the gable, the D in the gable. That was a Diane comment, which made a lot of sense. So I think that one is more successful. And then the E window in that little corner, I elongated it, but I did not make it into a double hung because it's in a bathroom and it's a long reach to get to it. And it would be a lot easier to open it if it was a casement or an awning, either one. But also, this elevation is truly, it's on the north, set like hundreds and thousands of feet away from Low Beach Road, with conservation land behind it.
Good, thanks. Do I have any volunteers, or do I have to choose someone? I'll go if you want. Great,
Are
thank
you
you.
not allowed to? Are you not allowed to?
At the end,
Go first?
if he has something to say.
Oh, I see.
It's just polite.
There's that.
I appreciate all the changes with the fenestration primarily. It looks good. And I only have, what is the roof color?
The roof color, I think it's wood.
It's
I
what?
don't have the actual application. Would you mind reading what I had for the roof? I believe it's cedar.
Blue cedar.
Cedar? Okay, so that takes away any concern I have with the natural, with the skirt, because it's gonna be natural, it'll blend. I guess there, one is just on the north elevation is, it's more of a, just a elevation, the second floor deck. That one post is away from the building, and it shows in the plan as up to it. So I didn't know if.
On the second floor?
Oh, no. It's to the right of this gable right here. That's a drawing error for
Yeah.
sure.
Below it?
No, right in the corner, it's just like the post is away from the
This
wall.
thing here? So it is the second floor.
Oh, that, I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah, it is showing on mine, and I didn't even notice it, but it would go all the way to the
Yeah, okay, I just
wall.
wanted to check.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
just-
typo,
I figured as much.
or a, whatever, a caddo.
And then the only concern, the only concern I would have is the I think in changing that D window on the same elevation on the small gable, it's just, I think if it were the E, it would work better.
Yeah.
It's just a
The
little
smaller
too wide.
one?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, it's the same width as the A below, but if
It's just a little bit.
But if they're so close together, then.
It's a little bit.
Yeah.
but they should match.
Yeah, I think it was,
Okay.
well, whatever it was, I think if we're, other than that, I have absolutely no concerns.
So turn the D to an E as far as you're concerned.
That's it.
Yeah, and as far as race.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so,
For me,
Ms. Coombs,
yeah,
please.
I have no problems. I appreciate the change in the windows. I think that the little window should be the E, not the E as it turned out. Looking at it like that, and I think the changes that you've made are excellent. And perhaps one more layer around the front door.
I would like that.
Yes.
One more layer of trim.
Yeah, just make it a little
Beef it
wider.
up.
It just,
What if the door actually got a little wider?
that would be good
would
too.
be
I'm sorry, I was gonna, can I mention something? Or Diana, it's sorry.
It's already
No, that's,
42
I think,
inches. But,
what, a 36-inch door?
well, it's 42 right now.
Okay,
And I-
48.
4 feet might be a little much.
No,
That's much.
I'm not thinking feet. I'm thinking inches.
Well, I was
48-foot
I was
door?
gonna express something about the front door, you know, kind of a more sconset, sort of interesting door. Because right now, it looks like you've got just really
Plain.
thick
Jane.
trim. I don't know, it looks like almost a foot of trim.
I kind of have a feel like there's going to be a profile around it, but I have no idea what that would be at this
Oh,
point.
okay.
And incredibly simple, if anything.
I think
But
your
maybe
idea
I
of
just
making it
put
wider is good.
an extra.
Wider and more character, and I'm not.
Because it's
maybe-
under the porch, it's kind of hard to do character, so to speak. But
What's the color gonna be?
Even a Dutch door.
Yeah, I know,
Um,
it's sort of,
a Dutch door.
Yeah.
just, it would maybe a little window on, into, you know how Wisconsin
Okay,
has
I'll
the
look at
front
doors.
doors.
So they could leave it open on the top and get the
Yeah,
air
yeah,
off
yeah.
the
No, that's
beach
it.
and close on the bottom,
Just add a little bit to it.
so the dog
Oh,
don't
and
get out.
are your columns square around,
No, they're tapered. They're square tapered.
square taper?
So
Okay.
they're 8-inch squares tapered to the top.
Okay, because I had never seen that, so I was just, you know, usually we just see them square all the
Yeah,
way to the top, but.
it's subtle. We did it on another house, and it's pretty darn cool.
All
But
right,
it's
well then, okay, let's do it.
It is pretty cool.
DDC.
Can I just ask while you're getting ready, is what the color of the door is?
I
Do you recall? Do we have it?
yeah, the windows are black.
Okay. Thank you.
All the doors should be black, and I imagine the front door would be black as well.
Yeah, that'll make a difference too,
Is,
in a positive way.
Can I ask you a question about the black when you have a minute?
that relates to this?
What's the trim color?
Cobblestone.
We were going out to Nantucket Road the other day. When we came down to Milk Street intersection,
Yeah.
that house right there on the in-town far side has painted their front door black. I can't tell whether it's a sub-color and they're going to do something else, but it's the purest color that you ever saw. It looks
Isn't-
dead. It looks.
It's just flat. Is it like
No,
a
it's
milk
not
paint?
jet
Is it like a
black. It's
milk
a
paint?
Gunmetal, like a gunmetal color?
Yeah, more that dark gunmetal,
You know,
and it
that's-
has no life to it. So if one paints a door black or whatever, I would think they would use a paint that's semi-gloss
A
or
little
something
gloss
to
to it,
give
yeah.
some life to the door.
I'll look at that tomorrow, because
Will
I
you?
drive by there, but you know what I bet it is? I bet it's a dark primer.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
that's what I-
primer is the only thing that's like really flat like that.
Right.
Nobody would paint their door.
Diane thought
It's
it
almost
might
like
be a primer,
Pantone
but
paper that absorbs the
Yeah.
light.
it was awful.
Okay.
Okay.
Just an observation.
I really appreciate your changes. I think they really improve the design. I have nothing to add. If there are no further comments, I would make a motion to approve with changing the D window on the north elevation to an E. And perhaps beefing up the trim around the front door or revisiting the design to make it.
Can we say that? Matt, would you put that, instead of beefing up the trim, can you just say
The whole front entry.
Widen.
How does that get done as an approval if I
Yeah,
come
we
back with
can't see
something
it.
that's not
Well, do you want to come back and
appropriate?
show us?
Well, I just wonder
I can't have you come back just
for a front door, because, I mean, truly, you'll never see
Somebody
it.
can look
Well,
at
that's-
it, sitting here today when it comes.
With a bit of a beef trim, I could see it. I don't really see lights in this door simply because of the windows right
That's
next to
fine.
it, and they'd be small and minuscule compared to the 4 light windows, so.
What about
and
widening
if
the
I just
door?
give a
Did you
little
do that?
more emphasis to the trim.
And not to interrupt, but to the point that you just raised, the door isn't visible from a public way. So,
Yeah, good point.
If your
Maybe
motion
paint it
was
fuchsia.
for the Ds to an E,
definitely.
and then just to do something to perhaps add some weight or emphasis to the front door, I would support the motion.
That is my
Okay.
motion.
All those in favor of Matthew's motion?
Aye.
Emphasis.
Emphasis.
Emphasis to the front door.
That's a good word. Okay. So, he made it. He made it. Yay!
You know, I gotta say, I voted for that, but I wouldn't see a black and, it's so dark, low beach down there.
Yeah.
A black door seems so severe.
Yeah, I think it's a very masculine, kind of handsome look on a building, especially when the windows are black.
Yeah.
But
It's Barone.
you could do like red. That would be deconstructing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Gary.
So the board on this one is Paul, Coombs, McLaughlin, Laser, and Oliver. Where's Christine?
She's right there.
Oh, and there were no alternates. Paul, oh no, Paul, McLaughlin, Laser, and Oliver.
Hey.
Okay. Everybody ready? Luke's going to walk us through some changes here.
Well, what I did was heard what you guys asked, made the suggestions you guys made the last meeting, which on the rear was to turn one of the lesser gables towards the rear and then spin off of it. And I think it works very well. So the south elevation you can see reflected there. What we did, if you look to the existing or the last HCC on the left, and then what we're proposing now. And we also reused that triple mall unit in the rear. And I think those are the two main things that you guys asked.
So you brought back that little balcony thingy.
The cantilever,
balcony thingy.
No, they made it smaller. It
Yeah.
was.
we made it bigger.
I said brought back in that meaning cut it back. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's no different than it. You have it.
The
Oh,
made it-
side profile it is, but he made it wider.
Yeah, you guys asked to make it wider, so I made it
okay,
wider.
okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
we're not looking at the.
And this was the long thing that you broke up by adding that.
Here it is.
Got it. Okay. Oh, yeah.
And then I added a couple windows on the east elevation that you asked about as well, on that new intermediary mass on the left. in
And
the
you
middle.
brought back the chimney.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Where?
On the
I did bring back the
one-story
chimney,
mass
but-
on the north.
I brought back the chimney, but it's not drawn
It was
properly.
off on his last
Oh, yeah.
round.
Yeah, you put it at the end, but it's not,
It is in
No,
the
that's
existing.
right. That's right. That's right.
but you don't have it depicted on the east.
No, it's wrong. That,
Here's the.
it's correct.
Yeah.
Which is correct.
It's not. It's not supposed to be on the east.
Right. It's supposed to be on the east. Because this got,
No, it's
yeah,
on the
no,
west.
no, it's on the west, right.
Yeah, so this is north, there
Right.
it is, so that's the side view of it. So we should see it on the south too.
And we do,
And we do.
right.
Let's see. Diane,
Yes.
it's your turn.
All right, I appreciate the changes. I appreciate the chimney coming back and the little L because I think that's important. And here, we move that over a little bit. No, sorry. We're sharing here. Having gone over the different things, I don't have anything at the moment that sticks out and says it shouldn't look this way. I think that working with the existing house and whatever, does Hassab have anything to say?
I think that the advisory board did review this several weeks ago before the first time it was heard.
Right.
On March 17th, did they review it again? I don't know if he's.
The last review is from January 9th.
Did HSAP say anything in their notes about the bump out on the east elevation? So sorry. Because I'd just like to know that, because I do know, yeah.
He added some windows back.
No, he's actually, I thought he's reusing the existing.
Well, reusing, yeah.
Yeah,
In the last information, they were gone.
but currently, that is a gable as opposed to a shed, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to know if you said anything about that. Okay. That's
Oh, you mean that thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
originally, I mean, as it stands now, it's a gable.
I think it looks better this way myself, but if you guys want a gable, you can have a
No,
gable.
I'm just was wondering if HSAP had said anything about it, that's all.
Just wanted more information about the additions.
Okay.
The various ages, and then you provided us with that thing that had all the different ages.
Yeah, all the ages should be still on there.
Yeah. Val, are you ready?
I think he did a great job. I think it's approvable.
Okay,
I
thanks.
submitted.
And Christine, have you,
Yeah, you can go ahead to someone else. I'm still weighing in my head whether or not the bay is now too wide. If it should be a shed, I'm just thinking about it.
okay. Our other member on this was Johnny, right, and he's not here, okay? So we're a four-member board now. I really appreciate the changes, particularly that pulling out the gable there so that you didn't have that long run-on single-story mass. The reintroduction of that chimney on the end was good. So I'm okay with this submission and appreciate sort of your respect for this building.
Yeah. Can I make a
I just,
Well, let's,
I was
Christine's
sorry.
still
I'd
mulling.
really like to, everyone's opinion about the widening of the bump out on the east. Because there was a certain, I don't know.
I personally like this proportion better than his last one, which was just
The
like,
skinny-
looked
skinny?
like an outhouse attached to the side of the house.
right, ended up usable, I mean, you know.
And the one that was there, let's face it, there was never an HDC involved in that
It
sucker.
was a gargantuan.
Toasted.
Okay,
All right.
I'm
great.
very good. I'll
Make a motion to approve?
Sounds good. Excellent. All those in favor of Diane's motion to approve this as submitted?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good work.
Okay, Dorothy, thanks for waiting so long. You still there?
Woo.
Did you just stay here, like, hung out?
Okay, so the last time this was heard was on November 10th, 2016.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Ray, Diane, and Christine are on it.
Okay.
This is, goes to Broadway.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I don't know why it's
So you each have your own.
site.
Doc, do you have a site plan?
I didn't bring one with me, no. Sorry, but there was one submitted.
Yeah.
The original.
That was, I think this is the other door, that was the same door, his, look, this and that, he's from before. I don't think that door is one that we want to.
This is getting connected back to your house, right?
Correct.
That's what this is. That's your little connector piece.
Yeah, that'll be the mud entrance connecting to the main house.
And does that exist, or is that something that's?
No, that's on the
It's
plan.
more or
Vic.
less the
That's,
site plan.
oh, that's what you just.
That's what this is here.
Is this, this is how the house sits, friendship there.
I drive by it.
What about the height in comparison? Well, originally the height was 21, and they asked me to raise it a foot because they wanted me to raise the roof one to change the dormers a little.
Is the they us?
Yes. They is yes.
The three of us.
Yes. They is them.
So it's 22 feet.
It's 22 feet now. The house is 24.
Now,
I
the
think
funny-
that the scale is wrong. That's what's,
The funny thing is,
it's at 30 feet with.
I think you may have missed.
Quarter inch scale.
You,
There's the like.
oh, is that right?
We need a quarter inch scale drawer.
Oh, it's definitely not. No wonder it seems so large.
I know, it's 30 feet. Yeah.
Well, the 8 feet I'm measuring on the side of the south elevation is scaling to 10. So I don't know what scale that
Maybe
is.
different scale.
But you know, Dorothy, I think you may have misunderstood what we were after in terms of that separation on the dormer. Here it is. So that's your regular roof right there, right? All we like to see is for this dormer not to come up and touch the top like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean it has to get taller, it just means that the pitch on this has to be less. That's all.
Okay.
It's that simple. So that's something that you could, easily remedy. Now, accepting that these are not to quarter inch scale,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. We will need quarter inch scale, which basically means you gotta take this and put it on a copier and reduce it down somewhat. So it's only 3 people here. We have Diane and Christine and myself. Yes,
She lives on a hill,
yes.
and are you going to level the land and plateau out where the garage is going? Or are you going to put the garage in the backside of the little hill that's behind you?
I don't actually live on the hill. It looks like it's hill, but actually this would equal out. There'd be no leveling out of any land to change it.
I think the street is low, that's why it's.
Yeah,
that's
I
why
mean,
it looks
she sits on a hill in the sense that when you go down Friendship, you look up to her house.
Right.
But my recollection is it's basically
Well, the
flat
house is
up where the
flat, but I
house
The
is.
house is on a flat, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that side going over to the empty lot had more pitch to it.
No,
that's all.
no, we're pretty much straight across for 3 lots, and then it goes down a little.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm just trying to get which,
From here to here is
This-
up by
this is
5 or
south
6
clearly,
feet.
north, south, east, west, right?
South faces Bartlett.
South,
Right
south
here.
faces
Road.
Friendship Lane, or sort of the
Here's your
corner.
north arrow.
Yeah, it faces the corner.
Here's
basically.
south, yeah, that's south.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I just said. Okay,
Friendship is
so I just want to know where I'm seeing. We need a floor plan too.
There was one in the original. I didn't know I had to bring it with the second one again.
What is the visibility of this north side?
And your windows in the house are 1/1?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just want to know what the visibility is of this north elevation, because that's really.
To who?
From a public
From
way,
a public way.
in other words.
This side.
Nobody can see it from a public way.
Okay.
It abuts my neighbor.
That would be the only reason for me to be in agreement with approving these transom windows here.
This is really the scale.
How did you do that?
This is her former
Yeah,
submission.
this
Oh,
one, this
oh.
one probably looks like it at the right scale. I think maybe when they copied it for me, they made it bigger.
Who did that?
Hmm.
This is just the right scale, right?
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why you're not just squaring off the garage doors?
Because the door that's gonna be put in there, which is in the original, I didn't bring it with the second one, sorry.
This door?
Yeah.
There are,
Those are the doors that are gonna be here?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, because like I had no idea.
We did that because we took out I took out the
The
transit
transom above
windows in
here.
the first one.
So that's your proposed garage door.
correct.
So what are they? Are they folded up?
There.
They're up overhead doors.
Yeah, they don't need the little
Transom.
The corner, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm just not sure why those.
I've seen them in that neighborhood.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen them around.
All right, well then, I just think we need preliminary scale drawings and maybe some dimensions so we know the height, the new height. Do you really have a 12 over 12 windows?
No.
No. Okay. Oh, this was the prior.
Well, hang on.
You one over
What
one and
Christine was
they're just
asking,
plastic.
which is actually a good
No,
question.
they're 1/1.
One over
But the prior submission.
Yeah, see, it looks like what you did was you copied whatever drawings were submitted to the building department for your house originally. See this thing behind? That's your house.
Right.
And so it was originally showing 12 over 12, 12 over 12 windows all over. See that?
Yep. On the garage doors, the glass panes would be better if you would put in 4 panes rather than 3. They're very wide and flat.
Oh, I agree.
This garage is going to be well seen from
Yep.
every direction as you come in up
I
and down
agree with
Bartlett
that.
Road and Friendship and Equator.
Do you have different options on the glass and the doors?
I mean, in the garage doors.
Yeah.
I'll,
Yeah, I
if that's
think
what
you
you-
probably do.
I'll have
It's
to
just
find
make
out.
8 panes instead of 6.
See, generally what we want to see is a vertical pane rather than a horizontal pane. And that's what that's reading. If you had 8 of them wide, it would make all the difference.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a loopy into this
Go for it.
Uh-oh.
and ask whether 2/10 of a mile down the street from me, there's a vertical board, cedar boards. And since my house dormers are vertical cedar,
I see that.
like this is the dormers. And this is about 2/10 away from me.
Yeah.
Since there's very little space on the front of this,
What's the, it's all natural.
mine's all natural.
Yours is all natural,
All natural.
with brown sash.
Well, those are the storm windows, they're actually gray sash
Oh,
windows
behind them.
underneath them.
Where's
Is
the
the first floor of your house, is that shingle?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Just the front and back dormers are cedar.
Okay. All right, so here's the garage. It would be stepped back a little bit from the front door, which is here. I mean, I'd be actually okay with that.
Are you going to propose cedar for that or pine?
It would be cedar.
'Cause
It
you
would be
know-
all natural cedar, just like this.
Right.
Like this
That,
dormer.
that is to me more appealing than, this is pine siding, which has all those knots and stuff
No,
in
no,
it.
mine would be cedar.
Yeah,
Oh,
which
is
is
the
much,
dormer set in 3 feet, Diane wants to know?
The dormers,
'Cause
On
we
the
don't
back
have a
it is
floor
not.
plan. Oh,
on the front it definitely
is,
is,
on
but
the
on the
front.
back it's not,
On the north side?
on the
no,
north
it's,
side.
it runs right to
Almost,
the end.
it's
I thought
about,
it was not, I thought we had to set it in 3 feet.
yeah, it's only 2 feet.
It's very hard for me to read these without being able to dimension it properly and everything.
The dormers, it's got to be brought in, so it's 3
Oh.
feet off the edge
All
of
right.
the roof.
I think we should get some new plans.
Okay, so Dorothy,
Yes, sir.
you understand about the,
Yep.
this won't go all the way up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You'll square that off, right?
Oh, I can't keep that?
I thought, how do we feel about it?
Well, I think
okay?
you've asked for vertical siding. now.
Right, it's gonna
And
have
you
too
wanna-
many-
It's too much. You either square it off and have vertical siding, or,
So let's
or,
make a deal to
yeah.
So I think we're,
And I would much
just
prefer to
square
square
them
it
off.
off.
And then when you do your windows,
Yep,
right? you're
8
gonna
by
look
8.
through- Exactly, 8 instead of 6.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Your vertical siding, show us that.
Mm-hmm.
And then to Diane's point, so that's that elevation. To Diane's point on the back, what we're supposed to be seeing is from here to here is supposed to be 3 feet on both sides.
So you have to
Okay.
shrink the door.
Okay, so the
Yep.
dormer needs to squeeze in a little.
Okay.
And if you can make those changes, oh, and obviously the same thing will happen there, where those lines won't go all the way to the top.
Okay.
They'll fall short. And if you can do those, I think we're good to go.
Hmm.
All right?
So hold for revisions?
Yes, so we'll hold
And
for
quarter-inch scale.
quarter-inch scale.
which she has, it just got blown up.
It got blown up, sorry,
Yeah.
because
No
it was
problem.
quarter
It,
inch.
it actually is much more palatable when it's seen at quarter,
Yeah.
for sure.
I-
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
who made the
Thank
motion?
you.
Diane made?
Diane did.
I did.
Okay, Diane, all those in favor of
It's
Diane's
only you
motion?
three, I think.
Yeah, just us three.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Diane.
What are we down to now?
Okay. 15 got moved to the end. That was the one we moved to the very end.
23 Monomoy.
Well, you're not going to be heard till 7 o'clock tonight, friend. Okay, so now we have,
23 Monomoy.
It's Mason, by the way, not Marsh, I believe it's listed.
Oh,
M-A-S-O-N. Kevin Vissian from Woodmeister Master Builders, Mark Poor Permits Plus.
And that's
Good
Vision,
afternoon.
Vision with a V, not a D, which was the previous minutes. Just
so this is
Sorry.
Linda what?
Mason.
Mason.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Nope.
Okay, so the board on this is Paul McLaughlin, Glazer, Camp, and Oliver.
Okay. Hey, let's see. Because we're running so long here, I have a few questions of you, Kathy. Could you remind me, are we reviewing 19 and 20 today, or were those just on there to get pushed
We're
off?
not reviewing 18 and 20.
18 and 20. Okay, so 18 and 20 are getting carried over to next Tuesday, correct?
Exactly.
And
I
for
don't-
Delaney, we already did.
Right, and I don't know if Paul McLaughlin is here. So that's for, that's number 19. We only have 3 people on that anyway.
And I have to leave it for, and I'm one of the persons on it, just so you know.
So we don't.
All right, so what I want to do is a few things. I want to take 18, 19, and 20, and I want a motion to hold those over until Tuesday's meeting. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so that removes the last 3. Now, so to this point, we now have these folks, and we have you. And do Matthew and/or Abby What are the boards on those last two? Because I'd hate to have you guys hanging
Yeah.
around.
Okay, so as I said before, our Cole, McLaughlin, Glazer, Camp, and Oliver
Right.
now. And then for Paul's, it's for Edgewater,
Yeah.
it's Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Glazer, and Camp. And all three alternates, Oliver, Cooler, and Welch.
You're gonna stay.
I'm with you anyway, you try and help.
So you better stay.
All right, and then there was, oh, that's it. Those are the only two we're reviewing now.
Yeah, yeah, so just.
Okay, so Matthew, you're welcome to stay, but if you don't want to.
Ciao.
Of course he wants to stay with us.
No,
It's been
okay.
lovely to see you all after all this time, but arrivederci.
Buonasera.
Ci vediamo. We'll see you again.
Okay,
We digress, not before.
It's okay.
there we are. So now, do you want to review?
Please. This project had one initial review a couple of weeks back where the commission weighed on a number of the elements that we had on the building, including window styles, components, the length of the balcony on the front of the building, corbelling of the chimney and the light, and the missing of mutton bars in the French doors that were on the porch on the front of the house. As you can see, we took those comments all to heart here and essentially revamped the entire front elevation, particularly to reduce the balcony length overall and make it really react to the most dominant form on the building, which is now a gable in the middle as opposed to the two smaller gables with their shed roof infill. In doing that, we were able to develop some more mass in that gable and make it look more substantive on the front roof plane, which was a concern that the commission had. In addition to that, two smaller shed dormers were paired on either side of the new main central gable form on the upper level and set in as minor elements as opposed to the original proposal that you see up above. In addition to that, windows were converted. The side lights on the front entry door were rebuilt with windows up, panes of glazing up high and a panel underneath. And a multitude of the 4/1 windows that had been showing up in the plans were reconfigured into a 6/1 window, which is more appropriate with the general window fenestration that we have. In addition to that, there were some smaller windows that were taken out in favor of doing a slightly larger window in the gable ends, had some ornamentation up high. The corbelling in the chimney was a concern with this commission as well, which has been remedied to be a more traditional feel for those chimneys. And there were a couple of other minor changes on the back of the building, including introducing the box bay roof that's part of the bathroom on the south side as its own independent wing, because someone had reflected that the overhang that we had on the south side elevation was projecting out much further than the common roof frame. So if you look over here, that was projecting out 20 inches to capture the bay window. It's now been, the roof has been cut back, so the bay window reads as a added-on element on the revised proposal at the bottom of the page. So we, in addition to that, you can see that we altered the dormer setbacks on the revised south elevation, so they're more in compliance with the general attitude towards bringing those dormers in and developing them in a more appropriate fashion, changing the central smaller gable dormer into a shed dormer, more reminiscent of what's happening on the front of the house. And I think, unless Kevin has anything to add to it, we've touched on most of the major elements that have been
I think
revised.
in respect to John McLaughlin's comments, we took out several awning windows and made them fixed panes, and we've made sure to include a note about a grate over the areaway to the basement window that he was concerned about.
Okay. Thanks.
Did anyone mention in the first meeting, and I apologize, I can't remember, the overall height being so tall?
29.
Right on, I mean, it's so close to the street compared to so many of the other houses out there.
I think all the new houses that are being built out there are being built to a full 29, 30 feet high.
But they're not right, sorry, on
Well-
the street.
Well, this isn't on the street.
It's 36 feet back, but
36 feet plus the width of the house, or half the width of the house, right? Which is another 16 feet, so it's 50 feet
Actually,
back.
the
says
porch is,
36.
the 36 is to the porch.
Right.
So the actual body of the house is back another 8 feet there from where it is currently.
Plus the ridge is back from that another 16 feet, right?
Right.
So 24 plus 30, what is how far the ridge is back from the street, correct? So what's that number? 50 feet?
I'm just reiterating here. My board is myself, Christine, Abby, and Val.
Correct.
I'm gonna sort of go out of order here a little bit. Although I appreciate the sort of change to the front in terms of getting rid of the atypical, sort of gable with the infill in between, there's a few things that kind of continue to trouble me. One is you have a sort of a dominant gable over the gable dormer over the front door that is dominant to the point where it's sort of squeezing out the two shed dormers that are on either side. So like between the shed dormer and the wall of the shed and the wall of the gable is like maybe 15 inches.
This is being built right on the street.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't like that.
let me see what you don't
Well, you approved it.
Well, check and see if I approve that.
Well, I'm saying this board approved it.
Okay.
How this encroaches.
Also, it's just,
See?
a technical problem.
Yeah, yeah, squeeze, yeah. It's squeezed in.
Can I see?
Oh, sorry, Val.
And then, you may have a picture of this too, Mark, but the fact that there's gable dormers, like flat, the main mass has shed dormers, and then the sort of subordinate masses have gable dormers.
Which we can look at changing the gable dormers, which I think are probably a little thin.
This is completely different.
Well, let's not get mired too much
Yeah.
down it. What were you just about to say, Mark?
I'm saying we can make a more consistent shed dormer approach across the front of the building so that those dormers are more of equal size, so they balance each other out better.
I think if you're able to do that, it would be great. I think, the problem, of course, is that with the pitch on the shed dormer, and the fact that this ridge is so low, you might get into some issues. But I'd actually, be interested in maybe seeing those ridges go a little higher, just so you could turn those into sheds, as opposed to gables, which tend to read very formal, particularly when they're out in the wilderness where we are right now. And I also think the front gable, I appreciate the reduction in the amount of deck. I appreciate the reduction or the downplaying of the amount of detail that you add on those posts and everything. That is all great. The main gable, personally, I don't like 6 horizontally formatted 6 lights in a gable end. I'd rather see either a 4 or something more vertically formatted. It's just me. But I feel like these 2 windows that are on either side of that French door going out to the deck appear very wall-eyed. They're sort of pushed way over And I think that may be because you were trying to align them with the windows down below.
That's
I don't know.
that's a definite alignment
got it.
component
It's getting sent
with
to
the
Mass
low.
General.
Balls.
You know,
These, yeah.
can we make a quick motion to hold for some revisions, because I'd like Val to stay on this.
My father is getting sent to Mass General, and I have to go.
I get it.
I'm so sorry.
I get it. Well, please, you have to leave,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
Kevin was here for all of Tuesday night.
Oh, yep.
And came back from
Sorry.
Worcester
I love
today,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow.
Okay, so we're going to have Christine and Abby and myself making comments on this. Sorry to hear about your father.
Well, I mean, if it's going to be quick, I'll stay.
No,
a few
no,
more minutes.
please.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And so, Val,
Family is-
maybe we
Just
talk
read
about
in.
you reading back in.
Yeah, I can do that.
Absolutely. Good
So,
luck.
Sorry about
okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, sorry. Let the record reflect that Val has left at 2 minutes to 3.
Okay.
4.
And I'm right behind her.
2 minutes to 4. Oh, and Stephen Welch is also leaving at 2 minutes to 4. So,
My sense is we can look at the windows in that upper gable because of the porch element and the shade factor that's there, and really the way you approach the house and the vegetation that's set in front of the house in context with the road, which is some, 20 feet lower, 16 feet lower than the house, that you'd never read the symmetry in the lower windows to the upper windows because of the porch intrusion and the shading that was going on. So if this is-
shading meaning the shading of the porch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So,
whatever, let's put that aside. I completely concur with Ray on this, and I think that these windows need to come in a little.
But he's
I
saying
don't
that
mind.
that's okay.
It's okay what, if they come in?
I think we can do that.
Yeah, see, what he was just saying is, the alignment that we're seeing on the
Oh,
paper
yeah.
right
I
now
don't need to see that alignment.
won't
Okay.
be as important as one might think.
Yeah, I would concur. And if you
My main,
Can I
what I
go?
said about the windows, like the horizontally formatted, mounted 6 light windows up in the gable ends, I'd just like to see those changed. I don't know what it is.
And these are too small, I think.
those are too small.
Right, that was what we saw before.
Right.
You change it
Oh,
to
right,
this.
sorry.
So, maybe a larger, maybe that.
Yes, exactly.
Something like that.
Go ahead.
Abby,
So on the front of the house, on those French doors to the left, I would like to see sort of a panel at the bottom there.
Kick panel.
Yeah.
So it becomes
And-
a 10 light with a
And that
raised
would go
panel
around,
underneath.
and that would go for all the French doors, that would continue around the building on any of the French doors. And
Do you
I,
understand?
No, I
what I'm
don't.
talking
Could you please? I'm
about?
sorry.
A wood panel on the bottom, separation by a rail, and then 8 panes of glass
Okay.
above that.
it would just
It's going to
visually
limit
be-
who your manufacturer is, but
do you know your manufacturer?
They were going to be Marvin.
They'll do
I
it.
think Marvin can do that.
Yeah.
Can't get it from an Anderson.
These two are good.
And I like Ray's idea of the 2 far dormers going into a shed rather than a doghouse dormer. I would like to see something. I would like to see the building in general come down.
The main ridge.
The main ridge, but also in that forward gable, I would like to see something interesting there to catch my eye. It caught my eye, but it needs something, just a little more embellishment. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a shingle, just a shingle detail or something, but it just looks a little simple for me
I was going to
because,
say, maybe we could put a brow over the door to provide some protection for it as well. We could look at something to fill in some of that void. And I think moving the windows in is
Yeah.
going to mitigate some of that.
but otherwise, I appreciate the changes from the original proposal. I think it's much improved.
Thank you.
And I agree with everything that's been said, and I especially like doing some kick panels on your French doors. And, looking at your 6 light windows, and alternative.
to give it more presence, to Abby's point. Yeah, so one idea on that front gable over the front door is to increase the pitch. It wouldn't match your others, you wouldn't have 45-degree valleys, but it would sort of
But now that
give it a little bit more
it's,
presence,
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good for revisions?
Yeah, okay. All those in favor of Abby's motion to vote for the revisions?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
very much.
waiting.
Sorry it's taking so long.
Yeah.
But here's the original.
Good things come to those who wait. Thank you very much.
Almost done.
That's Dorothy's.
Okay, this goes to French.
Howdy.
Okay,
So much for my work day, huh?
Yeah, right?
so Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Glazer, Camp, and Oliver, Cooner, and Welch. Lives here.
Okay. Well, we still have Diane, Christine, and Abby, so we're good to go.
You guys can get your people.
Thank you. Roger on?
This is
This is the original.
This is the
Yeah, I just have to.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you might want to refer back.
Comments that you guys made.
Let me have a look.
I mean, there you go.
What's the red?
Those are the well ratings. So this, I made some changes, but you know, I'll wait till everyone's ready.
Yeah, is everybody, we're all ready?
tape out?
Diane, do you want to open the phone?
Yeah.
If you need these,
That's the previous?
this is the previous one.
You got it? Here. Here.
Or why? Is this a
Here,
rather
toss me yours.
substantial change?
We've removed a few things, and then, well, when everyone's ready, we just were giving the information of the existing, septic system. That was not, we had no idea about that until Monday. So hence the reason for this curb cut driveway, which I know you're so fond of. This was 2 lots, and then now they combined it, but if you can see that septic, it's,
2 lots and they have to put the septic there?
as I said, I just was given this information.
I'm gonna distribute these because I think these will be helpful. So this was what we reviewed the last time. And you will see immediately that this is a single cut drive. And I do remember distinctly Christine talking about the level of formality of the, turnaround.
Level of formality of the whole.
Yes.
The comments are in the lower left-hand corner of the plan, if you want to
Right,
see them.
so now things have changed in that, there's no turnaround per se, but we have this curb cut deal. Now, you're aware that, the planning board
Yeah.
doesn't, okay.
I mean, we have to move forward, but
How are you you're applying to the planning board?
we're in the process, yes.
Boy, I feel like this just came up on another
Isn't that
application.
weird?
Was that your application?
Yes, on Quaker Road.
That's why I left the other night, because I was like, maybe I get a better chance on Thursday. Well, I've already changed Quaker, so that's all set.
Okay.
Good, good.
All right.
But, so this, as I said, this is new information that we just got. So,
What, I'm backing out?
on the septic system,
Oh,
Diane, if you look at the big plan, the one, the plan we're reviewing
Right.
now, you'll see an automobile like in front of the house. Just below that, there's all these horizontal lines. That's all the septic trenches.
Right.
So that's basically going to nuke his idea where he wanted to have the driveway previously.
I did remove this circular parking and
Right.
put it in front. It was very simple, but we can't have it there anymore, so this is,
So, but essentially, you could get rid of the right-hand side as well.
Exactly.
And you could just drive in and
it's so
Turn around, drive out.
loose and country out there that
Yeah,
you can
it's not buying this double garage.
drive over the grass and nobody would know the difference. I just,
I don't think
I
there's-
said before when you came that
For that kind of an application.
this street is not a formal street, and the enclosure for the pool is huge. You've got one little pool over here, and you've enclosed the whole backyard, and I have a problem with that.
What? I'm not following you. My enclosure for the pool?
Okay, so Diane,
Fences
in
is-
re- so basically, if we're to look at the amount of, fenced off yard here,
Yeah.
it's that much.
And we did bring it in as requested.
You
6 feet
bring
off
it
the
in where? How much?
Okay.
I've got it away from the property line, it's about 6 to 7 feet off the property line.
Why can't you come straight in after the cottage and the pool, where you have the main residence, and run it down
Yeah.
the edge of the residence? You
Something
need
more akin to like this,
Okay, you're not gonna see that fence. It's-
or even just to here and into the garage, like that. That's a lot less fencing.
You're going to see it when the people with Ronnie Santos that's next to you, and you drive in his driveway and you can't see anything until you get up to where his house and his hill is. Across the street, you have a formal garage. It's on the corner, and then the next house isn't very formal, and the other houses disappear. And all of a sudden, and there's no major fences around there, there's some fences which separate, so the Surfside Road is not right on in their yard, but it's a casual location, and there aren't a lot of fences around, and the Pearls, Charlie Pearl is down there on the right, where the road sort of comes to an end. And I just think you're changing the concept of a property that is more relaxed and not so formal as this. I think that's just my opinion, but I think it's,
Okay, I'm just trying to revegetate this to make it look like it was always there, and that fence, I just don't see how that's gonna be seen with the amount of evergreens and deciduous shrubs that are going to be on both sides of it. But, okay.
that's only my opinion.
What is the vegetation in the front on the road itself? What is
Front.
this?
Along the 10-foot
In between
strip,
the
it's
two openings?
Austrian pines, eastern red cedars, viburnum, and bayberry.
Okay, so that
And then
road
some
does-
maples as well.
I think if you were to make a single opening and and you extended your landscaping to the right, that certainly does make a beauty strip there, or whatever it's called. What is that called when you make a landscape in front so you don't see something?
A berm? Like a
No, like landscaping. I mean, he's got,
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
that's, how many feet is that? That's,
Planting bed.
if that's
10 feet.
16,
It's
yeah,
10 feet.
This is
yeah,
10.
Yeah.
10 feet.
You know what really helps in these situations is for you to take a picture from the street of the front of the house, and the side here, on the right, and the side.
There are the
Are there
elevations
photos?
in here as well. It's being built at the moment, so it's,
How much,
but just
how,
so we can
how
see how
far
open
along
it
is it?
it's framed. I think they just got the ridge.
Oh, so
It's
it's
getting-
like, it's a house.
It's
I mean, it's not a hole in the ground.
not a hole in the ground, but this is.
You're framing.
You're
Interesting.
framing, correct.
Okay.
It's in the process, and there is a hole where the guest cottage is, so. if
What
you-
is the
Because
proposed fencing, sorry?
It's, for the most part, Abby, it's wire. If you look down the bottom,
Wire with,
Black wire.
with three, with the,
Four by
both-
four posts, yes.
Yeah.
You know
4
what
by
it is?
4
It's just that
posts.
we have like a gazillion posts everywhere.
Yeah,
And
well,
It
what
gives
is
the
that?
impression that it's gonna be very
You know
heavy.
what a lot of people have done in rural is the split rail with the mesh combined.
That's fine. I mean, I'd
The funny
be
thing
happy.
is, net, it's exactly the same. It's just you're,
It's a lot less.
It's, I
work,
mean,
too.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have no problem with that at all.
And I
Whatever
think
would
if that
accommodate.
is incorporated into your
vegetation.
vegetation
Because the
surrounding.
other one, when you use those poles, it showed up over in
Yeah.
Monomoy, those poles are like neon yellow.
Yeah, no, they're hideous. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that was why this is,
On your thing, what are these red swoops?
those are the radius to existing wells.
that doesn't
Okay.
really, that's showing why the septic system
Where it
has
is.
to be where it is. It can't be inside of any of those red lines.
Yeah, no, I just didn't
Okay.
know what they were. And
So then, are we in agreement then, that we could entertain this fence in its present location if it were a split rail?
yeah, if it
With
just
wire?
wasn't so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, with respect to the driveway, that we get rid of the right-hand cut-in and keep it on the left?
Right.
And-
And go straight in?
Yeah, I would cut off this big curve here. I mean,
Well,
not
if
that we
you
shouldn't
wanted
have
it-
a curve, but
yeah.
maybe like lessen it.
Well, they
Bring it
might
in.
want it, coming to their front door, so you can, drop off, so you have fancy drop off here, and maybe you could end here, just not,
Yeah.
this
I-
all-
I-
Back out.
well, you'd have
You could do a
to,
turnaround there.
Is this all part of your septic system?
Yes, that's all.
And you can drive a car over it
Well,
all?
the field is going to remain, and hopefully they can move these tanks
Yeah.
into this lawn area, but, I mean, yes, those can be able to be moved, or they can be changed to
I think what
H25.
we're suggesting is just doing something like that. You
Right.
can get to the front door, but it's, then this is all vegetated right there.
Right. Keep that
And then-
densely vegetated.
Okay.
All right. So then we'd make a motion then that we could approve this with the fencing becoming a split rail fence with wire in the backyard, and the right-hand curb cut going away, and the vegetation continuing across the front of the house, densely vegetated as,
Yep.
just continue that line of vegetation.
That'll work.
I don't think the road is paved.
Nope.
No.
It's not, that's
So
why
you
the apron's actually.
you're not going to have an apron?
No, I removed the apron and the columns and everything.
Oh, from there.
requested from the
I was
last one.
looking at this one.
So those are gone.
So then, now, all we have to do is address the gates. And are you okay with the type 2 gate on the right-hand side? Which I don't think you'll see once the vegetation is there.
And there's one by the garage as well. Correct. And one off between the garage and the main house. Within the
This
brick.
one?
That one?
You have that one, and you have that one.
Yes.
I see this one and this one.
And
Which
then-
one am I missing?
And one
What's the
here.
one going up to the house look like?
They're all
They're all
type
type
2
2.
natural to
Are
weather.
they?
Natural to wet,
Any,
right?
wherever they're just the brakes and the privet to accommodate for the.
Just make sure that all the
pool
gates on the
requirements.
application say natural to weather, because they don't on the plan.
I will update that.
Okay?
Gates has two
Okay, great. So that would be my motion.
That's wonderful.
I can do that.
All those in favor of Christine's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for staying.
Yep.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Giving us work to do.
Okay, so now that we don't need to approve any minutes. Nantucket area has gone to
Tuesday, the beginning.
Tuesday, the beginning, and so I think that's
Thank you.
nice, short meeting.
Did you make any exhibits?
I didn't, but I think that it's in the
I
minutes,
think
right,
it's
Holly?
pretty clear.
Pretty clear, that last application, that the fence has to become split rail and, okay. The right thing is gonna come off, the right cut.
I'm staying for signing.
You are taking away and tomorrow densely vegetated.
How long will it take? She's my,
Yeah, what do we need?
I need to sign some
You need
things.
to sign some signs.
Oh,
You
well, you
want to come in
better
tomorrow to the office.
Okay,
go sign it right now.
Well,
Oh,
there's some
I
have
don't-
comments that we made because they had comments on the
We either
Okay.
sign them now or sign them Tuesday.
advisory board.
can I do it Tuesday?
Or the people need
Yeah,
them.
well, one of them needs it.
Oh,
I can, you know
can
what?
I just do one of them? I don't have a car at the moment, so
Okay.
I don't have that liberty, but I could, I wonder if I couldn't ride my bike over there. I could do that.
So Diane Junior, we ran a little over an hour.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
What's the temperature supposed to be tomorrow?
Better.
Really?